What's up, guys? Welcome to the latest episode of the Good Faith Show. I'm Andre Morton, but I have a special guest. He's the founder of Right Brain TV, and he's the director of Rome's movie Death to America. Kevin Ronka. What's up, Kev?
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, no problem, man. It's good to have you. Sorry about the delays, man, about the interview. I just had so much stuff on my mind and just had so much stuff to do. Recently, I found out one of my cousins have cancer, and then other stuff like that, other family stuff like that. So it's just been a lot on my mind lately. But I'm glad we able to do this, man. Like,
I,
I
I
I, I
think
just
it
want to
was,
say, go ahead.
I think it was both ways. I think I could tell like on both our ends we were juggling a lot, and like we both wanted to do it and wanted to come through, but like you could just feel that like we wanted to sit in front of each other after following each other for a while and have this come together moment, but we were fighting a lot of the forces. I think that's how the empire stays in power. Is there's so much boot on our neck. I mean, there's no healthcare, so I'm sure the cancer thing's a bigger struggle than it should be, and I mean that's how they like to keep us busy, so we can't come together. So I'm glad we got a chance to do this.
Oh yeah, no problem. Yeah, man, it's always something. Let's talk about Right Brand TV. Talk about how you found it and stuff like that.
Yeah,
How
I'm
it's
gonna try to
founded, I
keep
mean.
the story goes back 10 years, so I'm gonna try to keep it as brief as I can. I can say this: I'm 38, and all I wanted to do was make films. And growing up in rural Pennsylvania, so far away from the film industry, I thought it was this movie magic thing. And I did come from a broken home, and it was sort of a point of solace for me. But I was also really into screenplay writing at a young age. Like I really fell in love with the visual medium of movies, but for all the wrong reasons. But I still like there's something about it captivated me very young. I mean, so when I was growing up, it was very difficult to make films. So you had to buy film. And so telling your parents you were going to go to film school was even more ridiculous than it sounds now. They're basically like, okay, so you're not going to get a job. I mean, unless you're Spike Lee or Scorsese going to NYU. There wasn't even a lot of film schools back then. So and you get like stuff in the mail for like little seminars. So it was just a different world. There was no digital cameras. I'm that old. So my parents said you're not going to film school, and I didn't want to do anything else. So I left him at 18, and I dealt drugs and lived as a criminal for 10 years. And I lived in my car for a while. I was the first person I knew that left home and had to pay his own bills, figure out how to do all this stuff. I was a mama's boy. I didn't know how to do any of that shit. My mom wasn't having it. I got caught with a very, very large amount of drugs that were not mine, and I took the blame for somebody because the way I was raised on the Northeast, if you've never been caught, you're taking the heat for it, no matter what. If that's your boy, the guy I was with, it was on his third strike, so I
Oh,
stepped up, but I didn't know what I was stepping up to. I still would have done it because that's the rules, but it was a quarter pound of mushrooms and a lot of weed in rural PA. It ended up being 15-year charges. So I got kicked out of my house and I floated and I found my way. But for 10 years, I lived like a piece of shit. I dealt drugs to survive. I didn't do anything to contribute to society. I was politically completely like closed off to what the world was. So long story short, when I got after 10 years of living on my own, I somehow made it back into my mom's house, broke, and in the room that I graduated high school in, as if I had gone in a 10-year loop and achieved nothing. And it was so fucking depressing. And my dad thought I was going to go to jail or be dead soon because I had already had a heart attack from drugs. And the people I was hanging around with were not good people. So he just wanted me to fuck off. He said, "You never spent your college money. You didn't go to college. I'll send you to a film school. Now that in the 10 years that this had happened, the digital camera was invented. Now anyone can make a movie for $300. So I just randomly picked a film school, not knowing what it was, and it turned out to be one of the top 20 film schools in the country. But I had never made a movie, and you needed to get in with something, and my work was shit. And the guy who was the guy who ran the school in the film department was the guy that wrote Rush Hour. So I called him and I said, "Look,
oh,
I don't know anything about filmmaking, but like I will do anything to be able to come out there and make movies." And he was like, "If you can make a movie in a week, even if it's shit, I'll let you in." So I did it. I doing the audio with my foot, I was acting 3 parts in it, putting the mustache on. It was that bad, but he just was like, "This is horrible," but I could tell this guy wants it. So I went out to LA, and at this point, I still think I want to be like a movie maker in the industry. I ended up graduating top of my class because everybody there were like rich kids who didn't really want to do film. They just told their parents, "I want to go to film school." This was my dream. I was like the studious guy. Like I finally got my chance. I graduated top of my class. I got an internship with a filmmaker studio in indie house I loved. But something happened along the way. I finally had that political awakening right as I was being handed the career I always wanted. And I'm glad I did, because when I saw behind the scenes this thing my entire life I wanted to be involved with, I realized it is just a long arm of the US empire and one of the most deceptive and dangerous. You want to know why people can watch on TV Gazans getting blown up for 2 years straight and not actually raid the fucking Capitol? Because 20 years of dehumanization of Muslims through television programs.
Yeah.
How many
Ever
how
since
many
9/11.
Muslim
Mm-hmm.
villains, right? Every movie is a jihadist. Like that shit sinks
Yeah.
in and it changes. It actually starts to change reality. So when I saw that, and then the other thing about LA is it's so fucked. Everybody's an independent contractor. So if your boss finds out that you voted for, say, Bernie Sanders, he can fire your ass and you can't sue him because you're not an employee.
Wow.
And
Wow.
I'm from PA. You can't get away with that. It's a union town. So he loved me, and I would read 25 scripts a week, and I was pushing hard to do scripts by black filmmakers. There was this black comedian who was also on the show Deadwood, and my job was to read scripts all day. And I was like, this is the dream. And every time I'd bring a script by like a minority, not because they're minorities, this is fucking good. He'd be like, no one's gonna go see that. Like, you don't realize the black community's been carrying the film industry for 50 years. I mean, Loki, like, there's a reason Tyler Perry sells, but even in the inner cities, like, go to film, you used to go to movie theaters. Where I live in rural PA to see an indie movie, you'd have to go to Philly, be fucking packed, dude. All black people, no matter what it was. They've been carrying the film industry. And so for me, when I saw what it was gross enough. But then when I started to get more and more socially aware, when I went out in 2016 and shot the rallies in Philly, which was my first documentary, I saw how it all came together one day. I'm like, I've been wanting to work for the literally one of the worst aspects of this whole dangerous empire, and like, but I've learned from this school with the best of them. This is one of the top 20 schools how to use all the equipment. They've trained me. Now I'm going to turncoat and use this weapon on them. And I mean, yeah, I mean, after I started making docs, I got fired from my job. My Netflix project that was set up got dropped. My mentor dropped me. I couldn't get a job at fucking Sears, dude, with my resume. It was crazy. So,
Wow.
um, no film festival would take us. Our agents dropped us that we had because one of our documentaries got like really hot online. They didn't know how to market us. They say it's just the comments we make. We're never going to fit in the industry, and it just wasn't going to work. So what happened with Right Brain TV was I couldn't live in LA anymore. I think I was working at a bookstore. Even though I went to this crazy college, I'm working at a fucking traveling bookstore for like $15 an hour, and rent's like $2,300 for a shoebox. So me and my wife are like barely hanging on, and my dad died during COVID, and my mom said, "Well, I think when my dad died, it occurred to me he was 61 years old and he never smoked a cigarette in his life, and he was like an athlete. I did drugs my whole life, and I've already had one heart attack at 28. I might not even have 60 years. So now's the time to actually put my fate in my own hands. I know that Right Brain TV's mission I will never see the fruits of its labor. It'll take generations to build something that can take on Hollywood, but we got to start it now. And me and Mark have already
Yeah.
planned that when we die, we'll pass it on to whoever and just keep it moving, whoever we think's most suited. Because, yeah, maybe there's only like a million visits every couple of years. Maybe we only have like 1,000 members, but it's kind of crazy to get 1,000 people sign up to watch some of the shit we play. Films from the DPRK, Cuba. I mean, 5 years ago, that'd be unheard of. A whole section on African cinema. 5 years ago, no one even knew what Burkina Faso was. So it's been really encouraging to us that people actually give a fuck. And it didn't used to be this way because when we first launched, people only wanted to watch our more controversial, non political films like about drug addiction. And I mean, we have played stuff from Cambodia that's not as political, but we like the political, and that was the stuff that did numbers. But after Gaza, everything changed. Now they all want the real social stuff, and it's been really amazing to see because that's the stuff. I mean, we like the shocking docs, but just shock for shock is kind of weak. Like,
Yeah.
there's so much good cinema that's still pretty shocking. That's like a lot of the stuff in Africa, like they're filming themselves fighting a revolution. Like that's fucking nuts. Like Hollywood doesn't even film fake movies about revolutions, and you're talking about like Castro walking around with a movie camera during the Bay of Pigs. Like, fuck it, that's hard in my opinion. Like that's cinema. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. 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 And when you're talking about how Hollywood is, man, like it wasn't until I got like to be like 25, 26 when I started noticing like, yeah, Hollywood, they just yeah, it's just propaganda. Like I could tell like the Russian propaganda with the Rocky movies, and then the
Mm.
propaganda, the endless amount of propaganda, man. Like you said, the director of Rush Hour. Like I used to love Rush Hour movies. Then once I started finding out what Hollywood was portraying, I'm like, nah. So I don't- I seen a couple of Hollywood movies this year, but that's probably all I'm watching. Because I
Sinners?
realized
Did you see
like,
Sinners? Did you see Sinners?
oh yeah, I seen it.
I
Yeah,
didn't
I
see
seen
it.
it.
Is it
Oh yeah,
good?
it's real good.
Really, I've heard
Yeah,
mixed things from my sort of Black liberation friends who I definitely take their opinion. I've heard both sides. I hear they love it, and I've heard like, I think he's doing us dirty. So I was just curious what you thought of it. So
yeah, it's really good. You know, but I seen the Mission Impossible movie, man. I'm telling you, the Israel propaganda in that movie is, oh my god. I'm like, really, I wanted to walk out of the movie theater when I start seeing it, but I said, hell, I paid fucking like 15, $16. Like movie theater tickets is ridiculous. So I went on and watched the rest of it. But yeah, that's
dude,
Hollywood
dude,
turned
in
into just
Virginia,
propaganda.
not to stop you, but in Virginia, you have to work like 2 hours to see a movie because I think their minimum wage is $7. You got to work another hour to get a popcorn. 3 hours to
Same
watch
here in my state.
that.
Same here in my state.
So you got to work in a minimum wage job 3 hours to see a 2 hour movie and eat popcorn, bro.
Yep, 725 in Louisiana, man. Like,
Oh,
yeah,
you're in
it's
Louisiana. That's where you're from?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh,
But
you
I'm
love it?
planning to move to now where I'm at. I'm in the Delta part. It ain't really much opportunity here, but I'm planning to move to Georgia next month. So, and I got another job there, so that's where I'm planning to be. But yeah, I mean they
I
minimum
heard
wage.
Georgia's popping. I hear it's popping now.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's a lot more opportunity there. That's why I moved there because I went to college. So I finally, after months and months of searching, I finally got a degree in my field. So
Hell yeah,
yeah,
man. Congrats,
yeah,
man.
yeah, man. So okay, so you know, just talk about like, what does Right Brain TV do? Like, I mean, is it like a Netflix or Hulu alternative, or you know, like more educational? Like, yeah, describe to us what y'all do. What I mean, what the network
Yes,
about?
I will. But before we go on, I wanted to go back to what you were saying, which I thought was interesting. What I
Okay.
find fascinating about Hollywood, once you realize what it really is you can actually trace. You can actually so as soon as the Soviet Union fell, all those Russia propaganda movies went out, and then the villain changed to their new enemy in the Middle East. The timing was impeccable. Late
Oh
'80s, early
yeah.
'90s. Even look at Back to the Future. Who's the Libyans are trying to get like the what is he?
Yeah.
The Libyans. It's like, so I think like it's been interesting that I didn't notice that when I was younger that everyone who's an enemy to the Western Empire, but there was a brief time where even though Hollywood was capitalist, it wasn't really political. It was really just straight capitalist. Where there was a short period, because you had the golden age of Hollywood, which is horrible. I mean, yeah, there's some good movies, but like, they were also giving the girl from the Wizard of Oz cocaine and cigarettes at 13 and working people. Yeah, it was really exploitive in the casting couch. However, after the 71, when A Clockwork Orange came out, Straw Dogs came out, and those movies actually made money and people wanted intelligent film, the industry was like, yeah, we don't like this shit, but if people want these kind of movies, The French Connection, like, and they started giving people like Francis Ford Coppola, Martin Scorsese, like these actual artists, like whatever budget they wanted, and good movies were making money. And like, Taxi Driver, like these were money makers. Like Clockwork Orange is a money maker. So like, there was a period where they were like, sure, we'll let artists do whatever they want if it's making money. And it was. The problem is what they call the Hollywood New Wave movement, which would be like Martin Scorsese, Francis Ford Coppola, um, Peter Bogdanovich. These guys were making great movies like Last Picture Show. You had the LA Rebellion. They weren't in Hollywood, the more black activist film movement, but they were definitely popular in art scenes. But what happened was the egos. I mean, I hate to say it, Martin Scorsese then blew it. What happened was no, it was the guy who made Deer Hunter. You hear his story? So the guy who made Deer Hunter, everyone loved it. It was his first movie ever, and it was huge. And it was just riding this wave through the '70s of like, man, these intellectual movies are making money. So they started giving him bigger budgets. They're taking more and more coke. And they gave the guy from Deer Hunter, thinking he would be, anything he would touch would be gold. They gave him like I think an $80 million budget, which is insane at the time, to do whatever he wanted.
Wow.
And he made a western that nobody fucking liked because he'd only made one movie before that. And not to mention, Deer Hunter's actually pro-war propaganda. But here's the worst part: he bankrupted like 3 studios, like big studios, like had been around for 50 years.
Wow.
Like people, I don't give a shit. They lost everything. Like they like had to move back to a regular job. They lost everything. So after that, they needed somebody to bail the industry out. I mean, it was in a free fall. Even Coppola was doing too much coke. Those guys, Apocalypse Now, they were inflated budgets, inflated egos. These like artsy guys that were nerdy and like super enthusiastic became these coke-headed egomaniac, and the studios didn't know how to rein him in. So anyway, Wall Street bailed out Hollywood, much like they've done in the past. So what happens when Wall Street bails out Hollywood? Because if not, it's done. And he was flatlined. And then what happened in the 80s? The most non-cerebral movies ever: teenage slashers and tits and American Gladiators, like action movies with nothing, blockbusters. Like that's right around the time Hollywood took over and everything changed. So for me, like you can trace Hollywood because, in my opinion, film is like the perfect, like Hegel calls it a cultural echo art. I think film is the perfect cultural echo if you're going to talk about an art form of any country. You could watch the cinema of any country, good or bad. And if you know what to read, you could learn a lot more about it than any history book, because anyone who picked up a camera can capture history. And usually the working class in places like Chile and those kind of countries were able to get cameras. If you really want a camera, you'll fucking steal one. But the history books have always been written by the powerful, right? So like, and I feel like we're seeing that now. People in Gaza who just have like a phone. They're writing history as we speak, and it's real. So I think like as I started to realize, like, no, cinema is that important, but I was thinking about it for all the wrong reasons. So Right Brain has really evolved from what was a loose art collective in LA to like, no, it needs to be serious. Like, we need to take this shit seriously. How can we put anybody on if we aren't an LLC, if we don't learn to pay taxes, if we don't? So basically, when my dad dropped dead a year into his retirement, I'm like, I might have like 10 years. I lived way crazier than him. So I was like, I'm just going to start my own streaming site. Nobody will take our shit. No, you know. And so I was like, but what does that really mean? I don't even barely know how to use an iPhone. How do I make a stream? Like, I don't know anything about tech. I don't even know how to build a website. Okay. I don't even know who you hire. So my mom was like, you can move back home if you're really going to build this shit. Cause she like believed in our work. So I was like, you know, we didn't, this is not a knock to places like Means TV and these boutique streaming sites, but we didn't raise $400,000 off, you know, AOC prop. No politician's ever endorsed us. I'll say that. We were friends with Jill Stein, but that's about it. But she won't even publicly endorse us because of Death to America. She'll work with Rome, but I bet you didn't know this. I edited Jill Stein's launch video,
Oh shit.
but she
Okay.
wasn't allowed to
I
tell
didn't know
anybody
that.
because the optics of the guy who made Death to America. But I was the first person she told that she was running because we're friends. You know, we
That's
met in
that's
2016,
wild.
and yeah, and she said she wanted the right brain style, and boy, did that change quick. She's like, I wanted, you know, she did want the right brain style, but her campaign people just quickly were like, nah, you can't have the Antifada in there. I was like, no, you should. Like, this is where we're
Yeah.
at right now. This ain't 2016 Bernie Sanders anymore. Like, people are rooting for the Houthis. Like, don't be afraid to be that person. But, you know, I know that they know politics better than me, but you should have seen the original cut, not the one that's on Twitter right now that she dropped. It did do 1 million views, but the director's cut, the first one I turned into him was so hard, bro. Like, it had Antifada, and it was like if you know if one of us ran, it would have been really dope. But I love Jill Stein. What I'm saying is, we didn't have a
Yeah.
$400,000 GoFundMe. We were 3 working class people from working class backgrounds. It was me, a guy who worked at a grocery store who had never made a movie before, and my friend Steven. And we started it with the 10 grand we could scrounge together ourselves. That way, if it fails, it's on us, right? Like, and the crazy thing is, like, what do you do? So we find a guy online who says he can make websites. He makes us sign this contract saying he won't outsource, and he's saying it's going to be like most of the money we have. We find out he's lying to us. Like, it doesn't even, none of the stuff he said he could do works. We got fleeced. What do we do now?
Oh wow.
But here's the crazy shit. I noticed someone's trying to open a document I'm sharing with this guy. I realized fleeced me with a website that doesn't work, and he has an Indian name. And I'm like, why is an Indian guy trying to open a document I'm sharing with this guy? So I look his name up online. He's on freelancerfucking.com. He was outsourcing, but his contract said he couldn't outsource, so he had to return the money. And so I messaged this guy, and I'm like, have you ever seen this website before? And he goes, yeah, I've been working on it for months. And I'm like, yeah, really? Because that's my website. And how about this? I'm going to pay you twice what he's paying you, and we're going to cut him out of the middle because you're doing all the work, and you're going to become our developer now. He's like, done. So that guy to give me the money back. I gave it to the guy overseas who was getting underpaid. All the money we just gave this sleazeball, and we've been working with him ever since. He's like family now. I mean, we know each other really well. He's really a great guy. So then we built the website, and then the problem is, like, so you start with 10 people are coming to fucking, like you're saying, like there's 10 people coming a month, dude. So you get pretty demoralized. You're like, shit, no one's showing up at the party. And it was like that for like a
Hmm.
year. So we did Death to America. It was dead. I mean, it was dead. We had, this was a new venture with no social media. We started with zero in 2021. That's trash. You know what I mean? On Instagram in 2021, starting at zero. And so for me, like Rome changed my life. And it's not just that. As a human being, my life was never the same. How I made films was never the same. He was somebody I met. He was one of the first people I met offline that was exactly the same person he is online, 100%. And I went to Detroit. So I actually didn't know who Rome was, and I was friends with Tim Black, but we fell out. And I saw this video of Rome threatening Tim Black because they got in some beef. And I was like,
Yeah, I remember that.
this shit's so hard. I thought it was so hard. I usually hate these beefs, but it was like, he was straight up threatening. I was like, he's not taking this youngster shit from him. And then I looked into Rome more, and I'm like, this guy's awesome. Like, I don't know who this guy is. Amazing. He's doing the giveaways, the tour for the poor. He'll say whatever. He's so real, and everything's so like choreographed in this shit, you know. So, we got on a phone call, and he didn't even know who we were. And I said, I love what you're doing. And I pitched the idea, like the tour for the poor. Let's capture that. The movie was going to be called Tour for the Poor. Pretty simple. And in his mind, it was just going to be propaganda.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I'm doing this, but I'm also doing this. But when we drove out, I never actually, like, I didn't know him at all. And I'm driving to one of the 20 most dangerous neighborhoods, $20,000 in uninsured equipment. And we spent the only money we had on the project. So it's like we only had 3 days to shoot. Just such a bad, everything's a bad idea. Like, you're putting all your money on a 3-day shoot in Detroit with someone you don't know, and you need to make a feature out of it. So I was like, all right, we'll be fine. And so this is where the whole right brain filmmaking philosophy started, which we'll get to your question of, this paved the road to everything we did after. So Pete Buttigieg cancels my camera guy's flight. So now he has to drive. So we missed the Tour for the Poor day one. There is no Tour for the Poor movie anymore. And now I'm stuck in Detroit with a guy I don't know for 2 days with no concept. And all of our money's on the line.
Wow.
And all the drugs I bought, I already did because I'm so stressed. And at that moment, thank God Rome's the guy he is. I was like, forget it. Just throw the page out. This is a new movie. Whatever the fuck we film the next 2 days, what this movie is. And it ended up being Death to America. I mean, it just, the whole thing just turned. Now, normally in LA, the way we're trained, I probably would have had a panic attack. But that's the moment we came with this philosophy of like, it doesn't matter what we said it was here or whatever bad thing happens because we have no money and we're always up against the wall. Whatever negative thing happens with the right brain, because if we fail, we die basically. We're just going to make it a positive. Oh, no, it shouldn't have been fuck Tour for the Poor. It was meant to be that way by the cinema gods because Death to America is 10 times better. And when we
Yeah.
told her the title, you know, it was like, that's, yeah, it was, you know, you just kind of just, there's no negative. Oh, the lighting's off. Oh, it's meant to be in the dark. You start thinking that way. And we always say, well, if it doesn't come out, we're done. Our back's against the wall, we're done. So it has to be something. So I think in evolving like that with Rome and seeing how, wow, that change made the movie 10 times better. Now we do it with everything. Every set we go on, we're like, yeah, if shit goes wrong, it's actually meant to be that way, and we'll just flip it. And we've just gotten really used to being able to flip in a second. So, like, our sets are a lot less coming in with some nerdy shot list. We got to get this. It's like, we're very creative, and everyone can throw in, and whatever that becomes is what it's actually supposed to be. I don't even care what the name was when we walked in. Where in film school, it was always like, try to get as close to the page. No, life happens as it happens. So I'm not really interested in like creating storyboards. Like, let it happen and let's capture life, you know? With Rome, it was cool because I put my best camera I could find around one of the most interesting people I could find in one of the most interesting places I could find. And I don't look over the lens at all. I just let them, I just created, like Alchemy, we just create a scenario and let it unroll. And it was amazing. Rome killed it. And the thing about Rome is like a friendship came out of that. And I think he'll always know this, like that completely saved Right Brain from dying. I don't know how much longer it would have lasted with 20 visits, mostly family members and me. Changed overnight. And it also was the best thing we had ever made because I think it reached the most people and it wasn't shock value. But I will say this, it's funny. When we announced that it was going to now be called Death to America instead of Tour for the Poor, Rome loved it. And it was because he said it, we were listening to the edit and he says Death to America a lot. Rome is so ahead of his time. He was saying that shit like a slogan 3 years ago. People weren't
Yeah.
ready for it though. He's so ahead of his time. People were like, what? But when we announced it, even the lefties now are cheering for the Houthis were like, yeah, his people were yelling at us. Like, you can't call it that. It should be called this. I'm like, look, we're not from YouTube. You can't give us requests. We don't care what you're saying. You make your own Rome movie. And then, you know, like, it's Death
That's
to America.
exactly it.
Yeah. Like, it's crazy that that's now a hashtag. Rome is so like, it's just wild to me. Like there's people who were,
Yeah.
yeah, like I see people now that wave it that were probably going to not my president rallies. Now they're waving death to America signs. It's a good sign. It's a good sign.
Yeah, yeah, man. Like I always tell people, Rome is the man of the people, man. Like Rome changed me politically too, because before I seen Rome online, I was basically what was it, a shit lib, but I guess a socialist Democrat in Rome. He basically opened my eyes, like, this system needs to be burnt the fuck up. You know what I mean? So yeah, for real, man. Like that's why I try to help Rome any way I can with his fundraisers and stuff like that. And I told him I'm gonna tell him after we get off this. I said, if you come to Atlanta for like another tour for the poor, hopefully I'll be in Atlanta, so we could meet, and help people out and stuff like that. So yeah, man, yeah, Rome was amazing.
Let me tell you something about Rome. Like I've only spent probably 5 days in person with him in my life, but I feel closer to him because so we didn't see him after. We did the screenings and they went hard. I mean, he sold like $1,000 in tickets. People really ate it up, and then we put it out for free. But then, like 8 months later, because film festivals take forever, like it had winded down. We got into a film festival that was pretty dope. That we had, it's like the only film festival that fucks with. It's like an underground dope film festival in Nashville. I didn't think it would get in because it's Nashville. It's very white. And I told Roman, he's like, "Well, I'm coming dressed to the nine." And I was like, "All right." And he like rented a car, and he came with a guy he didn't know that well, like kind of a street guy he was trying to put on the right course. And I told Mark, I'm like, I mean, we've only spent 2 days with him. Like, is it gonna be awkward? And he's like, "Can we stay in your hotel?" And I'm like, "You don't even know this guy you're with." Yeah, sure, fuck it. Let's have a slumber party. And the minute got out of the car, it's like it almost felt like it was the next day in Detroit 3 years ago. It was this immediate, like, genuine, like, this guy's a family member. Like, you get with family, you didn't see him in 5 years, and you're like, it was crazy. Like, he's an enigma like that. Like, he's he's just so real that, like, we were like, oh, of course he's staying with us. And we just smoked blunts, and he came dressed like a celebrity. You should see his outfit. He looks so, everything was like a pink suit with the hat and the whole thing, and like everyone was treating him like a celebrity. And so our movie headlined it, and he ended up on the front of Nashville's biggest art magazine in all of Nashville. It has like a 300,000
Oh
reach,
wow.
holding a communist flag, and it said that. Like, that was crazy to me. Like, that Rome has that, to be able to get that is nuts. I don't know if that's ever been shown. And then we played the last night, and we thought there were going to be a lot of hate watches. We were heard there was going to be some rumblings. Dude, he packed it out, and they were cheering for him. Like, to get a bunch of people in Nashville to cheer for Death to America 2 years ago, when he's talking about overthrowing your government, killing your politicians, is wild. I mean, that's powerful. That's
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Rome. I think the reason why Rome got a great reception like that, I think it's because a lot of people feel like Rome. It's just that they just needed somebody to echo the sentiments that Rome was echoing.
exactly. He says the things
That's
that
what it is.
we all used to be scared to say, and then after you watch Rome, you're
Yeah,
like, no death to America. Like, I
yeah,
swear,
yeah,
Bernie might have woke a million people up like me, but he turned them into libs. Rome might have woke up 1,000 people, but one of them's likely to throw a Molotov cocktail at a fucking, fascist pig or something. You know what I mean? Like, he's
yeah,
like the Velvet Underground. He's probably going to inspire someone to do something way more powerful than marching around at a not my president. I mean, at this point, to me, a lot of the protest movement, not the ICE shit, that's hard. But the days of the
yeah,
protest, like paying a permit, it's like you guys are like bona fide parade throwers. And my other thing is, like, I hate the gatekeeping of the protest movement. I went into the 2016 DNC stuff in Philly. It's like, it was cool for a time, but like the same orgs have been gatekeeping these movements for long and nothing's changed. Maybe we need some new strategies. Like, look, I
yeah,
personally like am not affiliated with ACP or some of these other groups. My thing is this: I'm not going to condemn anybody who is doing things that trying a different strategy, even if I don't agree with it. It's just not my place. The same strategies aren't working. Anybody out there who's in an org who's doing any kind of mutual aid and or trying to challenge power and or trying to help their community, we may have disagreements, but I'm just not going to come out. I may not go to your rallies, but I'm not going to come out and call it out. I think the same people have been running it for too long. DSA is fucking useless. Even some
yes,
of these other
exactly,
movements have been really banking off Gaza, but what are you really doing though? Like, what are you really,
exactly, exactly.
you
Same here, man. Oh yeah, man. Speaking of protests, man, I remember it was a George Floyd protest in my city, Monroe, Louisiana. It's a college town. Instead of us marching, in the downtown area where protests should be at. They had us marching around the college campus, like literally, So, yeah, like, having a permit to exercise your First Amendment right, I think that's a little bit, too nuanced in my opinion. So, yeah.
Let me ask you
So,
a question.
I
How many revolutions brought down imperialist empires that asked permission to walk in circles with a piece of paper? I can think of none. I can think of any ever.
zero, zero,
Zero.
it's zero.
But you always hear this. You always have these like gatekeepers who've been around for 20 years, like, no, violence is not the answer. You're helping the oppressor, or like you're doing their work for them, or like, yeah, like like change doesn't come about with violence. Like, no, it actually does. Every revolution had violence. They keep thinking that because we say we're anti-imperialist with right brain or whatever, we're anti-violence. We're not. We're not anti-gun either. Like, what are you talking about? Anti-imperialist has nothing to do with anti-gun. We wouldn't say anti-war
Exactly.
anymore because a war against for liberation is a war, and that's how all look at Ho Chi Minh, man. Like,
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
You know.
And you know what else? The revolution is war. If you really think about it, like some people unfortunately will die because they believed in they won't change. Like, yeah, yeah, you just got me thinking about that. I used to say I'm anti-war, but
Me
yeah,
too.
you're right. You open up my eyes with that.
I'm the same too,
Um,
though. I used to say that too. We were anti where we dropped it. We're like, but we're not
yeah,
really. We're just, it's gonna. How can you fight a country built on war that exploits everyone under capitalism and imperialism, but not fight with the same rules they fight with? Like, it doesn't make. You know what I mean? Like, you're never gonna win, right?
you ain't gonna win. Yeah, exactly. So um, let's talk about your latest project, African films and stuff like that. Um, you know, I'm gonna look into it after this because I'm a member of your network. So
Thank you.
just talk to the people about you know your latest project, the African Boston
Yeah,
culture.
because I went on a tangent. It'll tie into the last question yes of what we do. So we do original stuff like Rome, but we also a big part of the site is we call ourselves like $6 film school because film school is not actually useful at all when it comes to watching movies. They show you like Crash and Hollywood garbage, where I thought we were gonna be watching like classic revolutionary shit. So we're trying to be that, and we need to start showing younger filmmakers and even older filmmakers. Like, we need to start showing them cinema from other countries that hasn't made it here because it's anti-colonial, because it's anti-imperialist. Hollywood doesn't want you to see all of African cinema once they achieved independence. Basically, was never imported. Sankara's cinema. When did any Burkina Faso cinema get imported? Never, right? Like,
Right.
when did any Guinea-Bissau cinema? When's the last time you saw me from Guinea-Bissau? Why? Because they fought off the Portuguese, who the West was definitely in bed with. So for me, I think it was about 2 years ago. We usually, so every month is a different theme, and it's 5 months. Is called a phase. I'm gonna try to make it simple. Like, 5 months is a phase, then we take a month off. Then we do another
Okay.
5 month phase and take a month off, and that's a year. And we count the phases, and every phase has some new features on the site. And so basically, like, we think of it like a tasting menu. Like, each of those five themes fit together. So Ireland was April, and Africa Rising was May. But we were trying to do Africa Rising 2 years ago because we try to pick things we don't know shit about. We don't teach people. We hate the idea of like we're here. Like, we're not like some streaming sites we know of, like on the left, like making cartoons to teach you how to collectively bargain. Who the fuck are we to teach you? We're giving you
Hmm.
videos. You will find your own knowledge through it, what you extract. What do I know more than you? Just because I know movies? So we try to put cinema in front of people. The only reason we write the descriptions the way we do is we want like a laborer who never watched a movie in his life to have enough backstory to get something out of it. Just an entry point. So you don't have to go to film school to get the Chile cinema. That's the only reason there's even a synopsis there. So with Africa Rising, we tried to do it 2 years ago. Like, we heard the catchphrase, we were seeing the Burkina Faso, and like, yo, we haven't done anything from Africa. And I don't know shit about African movies because they don't want me to. And we're like, oh, it'll be a
Exactly.
collection of like, yeah, we're like, oh, it'll be a collection of 10 movies. And I was like, I started looking in, I'm like, this is a continent, bro. Like, we've done countries. This is a continent. It ain't 8 movies. That's gonna be some safari greatest hits bullshit. If we're really gonna do it, we gotta dig it. So Mark's like, you can have that. And I was like, can I curate a continent? That's crazy, right? Like, how does one man curate a fucking continent?
Yeah.
Drugs and fucking a will to do it, and just like obsessed with what our mission is. And also, just the more I dug into Africa, I realized this is one of the most interesting fucking. I had no idea that every region of Africa would be totally different, but then every country in that region like 100% different. So when you look at the thumbnails, each one artistically looks so different because it is the perfect, they're each country in Africa's cinema after its independence is the perfect amalgamation of everything. It's ancient history, it's colonization, it's music, all of it mixed together. And like for Sudan, right? Sudan was colonized by, I believe, the British. I might be mixing that, but I think it was the British. They never actually like had their own cinematic identity, and by the time they got independence, it was too late, and cinema was just a social thing. And so their cinema came from their painters because that's what they were really. They had their own painting scene of like that's really different. I don't know any country in the world that cinema movement came from painters. So all their movies are like trippy, colorful. Like their painters were like their film godfathers. But if you like jump over to Guinea-Bissau, like that's my favorites. It's like each country I'd find. So I basically wrote every country down all of Africa and broke it into regions. But I cut out South because who gives a fuck? It's all white people
Yeah,
movies.
exactly.
We just were like,
Yeah,
fuck it. And basically I put every country and then I just started digging each one. I read its whole story. Sometimes you start with Wikipedia, it's like a paragraph. The one country couldn't even pronounce it. It hadn't even gotten filmed till like 87. Like they hadn't even seen a camera. Like some of Africa is really, but I
yeah,
started saying,
yeah.
okay, let's do four from each, right? Like it's a nice clean number, the four best, and I'd slowly start slicing them away. Like, okay, Kenya only really has two good movies, or this country never really got over the imperialism, or film never really, and it, and then I'd have a list of movies, and then I'd start looking at the list and being like, but what films are like each other that would kind of fit together and still be representative, and it just became this crazy 2 year journey, just me and Africa. And I went in knowing nothing. Now I know every region. I know where they all are on the map. And that was something that was important to me is I didn't want it to be this safari. Oh, look at African cinema. I want people to know where East Africa is. You should know. You should know where
Yeah.
Burkina Faso is. If you're going to be showing pictures of the guy and trying to do it like in a kitschy way, you should really like learn like where it is because that's a big part of African art is its geographic location. Like Nigeria, home to 400 languages, fucking crazy. 400 languages.
I heard
Nigeria,
of it before.
it's fucking wild. Like some of the professors in Nigeria in colleges, they have like 50,000 book libraries. I mean, and that's small. But the other thing about Nigeria is look at the Congo. Here's a better example. Like when I was doing Congo cinema, like how do you even make movies in the Congo? Only 10% of the Congo has electricity, but they're sitting on $400 billion in gold.
Yeah,
That's
you know what though else too? Yeah, you know what else too? A lot of people, because of propaganda, think that Africa is a poor continent, which is not. Like Africa probably is the most wealthiest continent because of the resources. Why you think the United States and the UK and other countries want to colonize it? You know what I mean?
That's exactly it, dude. The richest person in history of the entire world, Elon, going back to the Roman, was in West. It was a West African king, black man,
Yeah.
richest man who ever lived. He had 400+ billion dollars in gold. I mean, in West, I mean that's hard to believe that in.
Hmm.
And the thing is, like, it's interesting. Colonization plays a role in every aspect of every African country's cinema, and we didn't play anything
Hmm.
before they became independent. We didn't play any of that. We're not you know what I mean? Like we're not out here to tell that story. We're here to put it right on the black filmmakers. And I actually think people should dig into it, not just to be educational, but there's no way you don't like one of those 16 because they're all different. You got experimental films in Sudan. It doesn't even matter if you love Sudan. Like maybe you're more into like that kind of like on the ground guerrilla shit in the bush, in Guinea-Bissau, like, or maybe you like cheesy horror movies from the '90s, like that shitty blockbuster stuff. Go to Nollywood. Nollywood is like that's some
Yeah.
shoestring budget. It's funny as hell though, and like they're very self-aware. They don't take it that serious, and they make a lot of money off Nollywood. That's the funniest part though,
Hmm.
is like there's some really incredible anti-colonial cinema that's never made it to the West, but they'll import Nollywood because that's not challenging. No, it's very Western, like horror movies, crime movies, people jumping out of helicopters. It's funny, but like it's not about colonialism. You know what I mean? That's not a
Gotcha.
knock to Hollywood. It's cool that one of the collections has that because maybe you don't want to watch that stuff. But that's why I say African cinema is something for everyone. Like there's not a collection that's the same. Even like Gabon, there's one collection we have. It's called Going Big with the Bongos. Like when it comes to Gabon, like the Bongo family are like a mix of the Obamas, the Trumps, and I don't know, and like kind of like the Kardashians, right? Like if the Kardashians,
Yeah.
they were like a royal family, but they wanted to be celebrities, and they would take all these portraits, but they were the worst leaders ever. But the one good thing about them is they loved fucking movies, so they produced a shitload of them, and they were super corrupt. They had their own movie studio. The government, like, they just pulled money from the government, paid for it, and the wife wrote the movies, and they were usually about his life. But at the end of the day, at least he brought movies to Gabon. You know what I mean? Like, I'll still credit the Bongos for that one thing, even if everyone hates them and they got, ran out of town by the 2000s. But like, what I started noticing is like every country in Africa has a story without even the movies worthy of a movie. I mean, every
Mhm.
one of those countries fought with their life to get their country back, from outgunned, outmatched by not just one colonialist, usually multiple working together. And some of the stories are heartbreaking. Lumumba finally freeing the Congo, being turned on by Mobutu, was his best friend who he did this revolution with and sold him out. The Belgian, I mean, you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of tragedy in African cinema, but that's why it's so fucking good. Is they really have something to say. And the problem these days, everyone wants to make movies, but no one has anything to say. They just want to make a movie to make a movie. That's why we have this new saying called "death to all tourism," like a film by. Nobody cares about your personal story. If you can't tie it to something bigger, I don't really want to watch a movie about how in third grade your mom made you feel bad, even if you're from a poor community, because you should be able to tie that to other people from poor communities. That
That's
individualist
true.
mindset, right? The communist mind state or the
Yeah.
capitalist individual. You got to break that hold. A good example is, I'm not even to really say because it's not coming out. We just shot our first rap video. Like, we turned down all gig work. We just hate it. We're control freaks. If we can't get married to it, we won't do it. And that's probably why we're broke half the time. We don't take profit from right brain, so I live with my mom's. If I took gig work, we make great money, but I just not wired that way. So I heard a rap song. I pictured the Houthi rebels, and I called the guy who made the song we knew, and I was like, I want to make a rap video. And for me, the song had a story behind it that was very personal to the person who made it. I didn't know that. When you listen to music, I don't know what it's really about. I just know I'm vibing to it. I'm connecting to it. That's how music is, right? Like Elliott Smith makes a song about something that happened in his
Yep.
life. I don't know that, but I'm feeling it from something that happened in my life. So I was like, yeah, it might be about that, but it's making me think of the Houthis, of the, like rising up, of how the inner city is modern day apartheid here, and how really the killers and gangsters might be at one point our last fight against true liberation, because they're the only people. Maybe they don't always shoot at the right targets, but they're some of the only people that actually will shoot. That's what Rome always says. Like, you really think these like college kids are gonna do what needs to be done? We need to start building up bridges with, and that's why Rome I introduced to the guy from Palestine News Network, because they're like doing the same thing. He's all about, like, he has a lot of friends in DC from the trenches, and he's trying to inject to them like, this is modern day apartheid. Your struggle is with Palestine, and I think he's right. Like, those are our line of defense. If we can get the killers to point their guns at the people who are really, you know what I'm saying? And Rome says it, and
Right.
he says it, and it really clicked with me. So like, I was like, I want to make a video that encapsulates that, because to me, it's an extension of what we were doing with Rome, which is like mixing the street thing with the international struggle of communism. Like, Rome raps too. He's like from the trenches, and like he's trying to train those guys in the trenches that are being turned against each other. The point, you don't need to point your guns at the right people, and
Yeah. Right.
that's really was mind blowing to me. A lot of when I first saw him speak in person, it was mind blowing. Well, first when we rolled up on him, we brought the big boom thing. He didn't know us. It was a little unnerving. It was like
Yeah.
deer in headlights.
Yeah. That's normal. Yeah. That's
Yeah, so I
normal
think
for
take the boom
anybody.
away from him. Like, let him do. And when you see him speak in person, you forget you're making a movie. I was like, I had never heard anybody 2 years ago talk like that. Now, yeah, but at that time, it was unheard of to be telling your. He's like, we need to get our gangsters and our killers. Like, it's not their
Yeah.
fault. I was like, whoa, that's like Public
Me too.
Enemy wasn't even saying it.
Yeah. Like I went from hearing, like I'm gonna just say this, like I went from hearing like Cal Kalinske and TYTs of the world talk their little, petty bourgeois shit, to hearing Rome like saying the stuff that I've been thinking, like we need to like Rome said one time, not trying to put him on the spot, but he said, so I forgot what he said about Iran, like the US Capitol, like all the politicians need to be unalive. Like holy shit. Like at first, I went from like, hey, we need to vote them out, to like, yeah, like, because these people are responsible for the genocides that's going around the world, the Iraq War, the Afghanistan War. the genocide in Gaza. Like these motherfuckers don't deserve to be alive, and he's right. So
Yeah, he's
yeah,
right. He's right. Yeah, I
yeah,
went. I went. With, I met up with Ramsey from Palestine News Network. It was similar to Rome. It's like I don't care how many followers you have. Like he just randomly showed up my feed when he only had like 2,000 followers, and I was like, this guy's fucking hilarious. I haven't laughed during this genocide in like 8 months, and this guy is making me laugh. It almost feels bad. He's dunking on Zionists. So I just like messaged him. I was like, "Can I call you?" And I was like, "I don't know who you are, what you're doing. I'm not trying to eat off your plate, but like, I would just love to meet up with you or something. Like, I really like what you're doing." So I did. I went down to meet him when Netanyahu came to town, and it was just like Rome. He's exactly like the guy he is offline. The guy who walked out and picked me up was the same guy I keep hearing behind the camera yelling at Zionists. That's exactly who he is. And he like reminds me of Rome where like he was saying a lot of stuff too that people are like, oh, you can't say that. That's gonna make the Zionists turn against. Like they already hate you. He always says like, why are you trying to impress? You're not gonna turn them. Those days are over. You've picked your side. You're with the
yeah,
oppressor. Okay, you're with the oppressor, but like, you know what I mean? Like you've already decided. I mean, there's no really going back now. But like, I just feel like there's just some every project we've done, I think, has really influenced us and stuck with us, which is why we get every project we do now. We don't. I knew nothing about Africa. I was not like I'm gonna teach them Africa. I was like I'm about to go on a journey through Africa. Maybe I don't. I thought it was gonna be like militant shit. It wasn't. It was even cooler that it wasn't because it was. That's what Westerners we want this kitschy like revolution thing, but like sometimes it's just more of an aesthetic. Like it was
yeah,
way more complex than that. It wasn't just like Burkina Faso, wave machine guns. It's like you start reading, you're like, okay, Guinea-Bissau was colonized by Portugal. So they teamed up with Cape Verde and fought. What we didn't even hear about was the Portuguese Vietnam War, they called it, and they won. But check this out. This blew my mind. This sounds like a movie. So I never even heard of Cabral, the leader of Guinea-Bissau. But he was like a Sankara type. They've totally kept him from us on the West. That was the first time I'd even seen a video of him. He basically knew that his country did not have the technology to make movies. So he took the four most gifted students and he sent them to Cuba, like a destiny thing. And it's so wild because he's like, you will bring film to Guinea-Bissau. While he's finishing off fighting off Portugal, they're still going at it. Um, Castro takes these four filmmakers in who never held a camera, and they study under one of the greatest Cuban filmmakers of all time, Alvarez. We've played his stuff. He's amazing. He's a master. Like to be under that guy, and then he did what was called In the Bush. He sent them back to Guinea-Bissau. I was like, now you got to do what we did. You're going to film the Portuguese, like the revolution against the Portuguese. These like 18-year-olds, they did it. The footage was sent out because they couldn't develop it. That footage has never been seen. But those four filmmakers went on to be the most important filmmakers in Guinea-Bissau. Prophecy fulfilled. And Cabral didn't even live to see it because the first movie ever made in Guinea-Bissau was his obituary. How wild is that? He became the
yeah,
first movie ever made. Like, when I was really like, dude, why have we not heard these stories? Name one fucking movie in America with a story that fucking unbelievable. This guy picked four random students he believed in, said, you will bring movies to Guinea-Bissau, and then he became like, to me, every story just was, and I felt like I went on a journey. It took me 2 years to find the movies, to translate them. Like, you don't just YouTube them; they're hard as shit to find, and we can find anything. Like some of these movies, I would get like one Google hit. That's insane. One, and it's not even the right thing, right? So it took a lot of trial and error to even be able to, find any of these movies. So to do 16. So I guess the point I'm making is like, I felt like I went on a journey, and just to close that out is I feel like when I finished it, I was like, I want other people to experience that. So that's why we went a little more conceptual. That's why, like, each week I made a 40-page TV guide. Like I said, drugs and a will to do it. I made a 40-page TV guide every week. It's 160 pages that would tell you about the country with a map I actually made by hand, and then the history of each of the countries, because I just didn't want people to be afraid to dive in. I feel like what scares people with right brain people sometimes like, I just don't know what to do. There's DPRK here and Cuba here, and I don't know shit about movies. Like, that's the point. Just dive in anywhere, bro. Watch a movie from DPRK.
mm-hmm,
You don't like it? We don't even have any software to know what you're watching. That's a fact, and we're leaving it that way. We don't recommend you shit. There's nothing on Right Brain that tells you like that. Nothing will automatically play or send you anything. You got to click shit. You got to find it because we hate that shit. It costs money to do
yeah,
it, and I'm not. I hate that. I hate how they just keep funneling me shit into an algorithm, even from the same series. Like you got to click on it if you want to watch it. Like we're not gonna push anything your way through an algorithm. Like you are gonna chart your own journey, and everyone's journey is gonna be different. Maybe you come for Cuba, maybe you come for Rome. Maybe you stay for Ireland. I don't fucking know. Maybe you don't even watch that. Maybe you watch our animated series. It's more like Adult Swim. Because there's the other side of right brain that's not anti-imperialist as much. It's underground. There's a lot of artists that like they don't even have the privilege because they're for like black and brown communities that can even make like if you're a black and brown filmmaker, it's very hard on the outside to make political work and survive. Harder than for me. You're
Hmm.
already up against some severe shit. I got black friends who are like, I can't make that
True.
shit you guys make. Imagine if I made Death to America. You know what I mean? Like, there's no way. So you gotta say it ain't just. I don't think to me anti-imperialism isn't the only thing about cinema. We can't all sit around and watch guerrilla films all the time. But people who are breaking Western narrative structures, which are just as colonial as the physical world,
Right.
like Hollywood injected this four-act westernized narrative structure that strangles anything that's not it, that it can't control. Act one, I did scream it. Act two, act three, act four. And in Africa, I noticed they're like breaking it apart. They're like, no, we have oral traditions, we have our own folklore. We're not following your four-act fucking European Anglo structure anymore, right? Like, we're gonna break the narrative. Maybe there's a jump cut here. Maybe you're not supposed to do this, so we're gonna. They would do it just to do it. Say no, the West says you can't do it, then we're gonna do it. To me, that was really like, oh, okay, so it's not just about revolutions. It's like revolutions in theories, shattering Western commercialism. Like, if the West says you got to make a movie that runs this way with love interest, then we're going the other way. There's no love interest. And I mean, shit, there's a movie in DPRK where a guy's cheating on his wife with the country. Like, his wife thinks he's cheating on him, but turns out he's sneaking out to work because he loves the nation. That's kind of hard though. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
to me, like even in anime, my one friend's like, but I feel like you guys don't think I'm resistance because I don't do political movies. Like, no, you're changing narrative structure. Like, you're trying to change the way stories are told. That's that's taking back the power to a black artist. You're saying, no, I'm not gonna tell stories your way. You don't know how where I
Hmm.
come from or what I've lived, like there's that great Pink Floyd quote, all I touch and all I see is all my life will ever be. So like how could these white guys in Hollywood create a narrative structure that fits everyone's struggle? So I think like you don't have to be making movies about Rome to be challenging power because some people can't. You could just be changing the way stories are told, the order
Right.
they're told in, right? The scenery they're shot in, the way they're lit, anything that breaks this clean, homogenized. Yeah, if you don't realize it, there's no such thing as indie. Those are shell companies owned by venture capitalists. That's why I'm banned from the left. There's this other podcast. Everyone's like, you'd be great on it. They blocked me immediately after meeting them. I was like, oh, this is cool. Left of the podcast or whatever it's called, left of the cinema podcast. And then I listened to like 20 seconds of the episode and they don't know anything. They're like, A24 is an amazing company, putting the power back in the hand of the artist. 2 weeks before that, they got a venture capitalist $3.5 billion from
Oh
Jared
shit.
Kushner's younger brother.
Oh
The
my
fuck,
God. Yeah.
the fuck are you talking about? Indie's not indie, dude. Like five companies own everything in Hollywood, and they make shell companies with fake indie names, and they just pretend they're indie, and they are selling
Yeah.
you commercials pretending to be movies. You don't even movies anymore. They're selling you on war, drugs, like everything. If you
Yeah.
really look at movies on Netflix now, you could find the thread of what it's really telling you to do if you look close enough. But most people don't,
Right.
right? I
Right.
think the most dangerous thing invented was probably for the so you have all the people who made cinema that's revolutionary in Africa, but then when that powerful weapon ends up in the hand, I mean, a movie cameras brought down empires, right? Like there's a Chilean
Yeah.
filmmaker that basically brought down who's the guy from Chile? He's so evil. What was his name? The Chilean dictator, the guy killed himself. He overthrew because he knew he was going to get tortured. His name's Netflix had a movie where he's a vampire. I can't remember his name. Anyway, this filmmaker like snuck into the country because he was on a like a death list in disguise and exposed him, brought his empire down with a movie. Like it's powerful shit. And like, but when that ends up in the hands of the empire, it's the yin and
Yeah.
yang. I mean, they are the reason people can walk around like there is not a Holocaust happening. I mean,
Right.
it's unbelievable, bro. We're watching babies without heads every
Yeah.
day,
That-
and people
Yeah,
are
man.
not running up in the Capitol. That's called You are programmed. You are
I know.
programmed.
Yeah. You know what else is fucked up too, Kevin? It's like people see like a lot of people are struggling every day. They're going to work, doing the same shit, getting paid less than a livable wage. And I ask myself too, I'm like, well, why is not a revolt yet? Why they not coming to Washington with ticket torches and machine guns? Like, why are you not throwing down the doors? Like, I just don't understand. But you're right, man. Like, Hollywood, the Western propaganda. It's a cycle. It's a hard cycle to break, and this is why I appreciate people like you, and real left commentators like RBN and Rome. Like you guys are doing a good job of breaking that narrative. And
You as
speaking
well.
of that,
You as
yeah,
well.
yeah, appreciate it. But I was talking about, I think a couple of live streams ago, I was talking about Elon is poisoning Memphis because he put a supercomputer there. And the craziest thing is the people in Memphis didn't really know what was going on. Like they was getting poisoned because the supercomputer, they was using turbines that were producing a lot of methane in that neighborhood where the gigafactory was at. You know, and a lot of people just thought, oh, it ain't no big deal. It's just there. Supposed to bring a lot of jobs to the city, but it's poisoning a lot of people. And then turns out that this lady's grandfather died of COPD due to the methane that was in the air from those turbines. And also one thing that fucked up too. Now, according to the Gigafactory, they were running half of those turbines, but it comes to find out they were running, when people put infrared sensors on those things, they were running like 31 out of the 35 of them running. So yeah,
They were doing that shit in California, in poor Latino communities in California. They were building these sleazy battery factories. They were not safe.
yeah,
There was an activist group paying you to let them test your children's baby teeth, and they were finding it's criminal, bro. Dude, I'm telling you, when I went with Ramsey to K Street, which I've never been on when Netanyahu came, I've never been to K Street. He walks around there all the time bothering people. There are a bunch of Botox serial killers walking around you. You're surrounded by Patrick Batemans. These people got 1,000 bodies on them, million bodies on them in Iraq with the swift of a pen. These are the real serial killers. You think Dahmer's bad? Everyone in Congress has killed millions of people, and they're walking around
oh
with
yeah,
Botox. It's crazy. It's like being in a city where serial killers. It's like a flipped world where they're the celebrities. The lunatics are running the asylum. I couldn't live. Like, how do you walk around these people? It's creepy as fuck. Everybody around me's
yeah,
murdered people with a pen
yeah.
stroke.
And,
It's crazy.
and my thing is, how these people go to sleep at night? Like these are the real psychopaths in our country, man. I like I just don't understand, but yeah, it's crazy.
This is the thing. This is why I think the TV and the movie camera is so powerful. Is I remember when the second movie we ever licensed, right? Because like nobody wanted to license movies. We were nobodies, and they're like, like we were just laughed out of the room when we tried to license films from people, like to put on the site. We had to start at the bottom, and one really kind of like smaller people that fucked with us because they just were like, oh, these are new guys starting out. I noticed they had Leela Khaled Hijacker on their list. I was like, damn, that's kind of cool. Like, I'm a fan of Leela Khaled, but I remember growing up, I was told she's a terrorist, and it sunk into me so deep that like, if I like her, that makes me a terrorist. And like, but why do I think that? Oh, because that's all I saw in the news for 10 years is people who look like her are terrorists. But let me tell you something about Leela Khaled. Once you start to unpack it and get away from what you've been conditioned for so long, there was a part of me inside, like, if I root for her, does that mean I like terrorism? No, but that's how powerful TV is, because then you break down, it's like, wait, Leela Kale was the first woman to ever hijack an airplane in 1969 with a grenade and a handgun, didn't fire any bullets, didn't kill anyone. In the documentary, they track the people down 20 years later. They don't even give a fuck about it. They're not even traumatized. That's pretty hard. The only thing that got damaged in the whole thing was the nose of the plane after they left, as they blew it up in symbolic, and they got 13 prisoners freed. She did it with a handgun or grenade that she didn't fire on anyone. Now, they had no money, as the Palestinian Liberation Front wasn't like rich. She'd never done it before. Now you have Israel, backed by billions in Western weapons, the highest intelligence community in the world. And after October 7th, they have since 2023, been on a bombing campaign backed by the West because they armed a militant group to take out Leela Khaled that is now turned on them. And they've gotten 7 hostages back. Leela Khaled did better than you on her first time hijacking an airplane without firing a bullet, but she's the terrorist and you're the freedom fighter. Fucking explain that to me. How could you be the good guys? How are you selling people this anymore? Leela Khaled didn't kill anybody and freed more people than a country.
Exactly.
That doesn't, like,
Yeah,
with
man.
with billions of dollars in weapons and intelligence, and you only saved 7, you killed 30 or hostages or more. Like, You guys are
They're
trash.
killing
Like
our hostages.
they
Exactly.
killed. They're just indiscriminately bombing their own hostages. They shot 3 of them because they were waving the flags. So Hamas dressed them up like so they can move them around. But why are
Yeah.
you shooting people waving white flags anyway that are unarmed? And that them shooting their hostages was just the proof of how disgusting they are. Is because they thought they were Palestinians that were unarmed. They ended up shooting their own people. Hamas is
Yeah.
genius for that shit.
Yeah.
That's genius.
Yeah. Hamas was trying to just basically expose, like, hey, we're not the fucking problem. It's these motherfucking psychopaths that hijacked our fucking country are the motherfucking problem.
Yeah. If
So
you don't like
yeah.
Sinwar, if you don't like Sinwar, or you're scared to say you don't like Sinwar, you still have a little of that 20 years of war on terror programming forced in your. It sinks in. The
Yeah, it
TV is
does.
powerful, dude. Break away from that. Sinwar is not your enemy. Okay, Sinwar is no
Exactly.
threat to anyone except Israel, and Israel's not a country. It's the size of fucking New Jersey, with less supporters than the Philadelphia Eagles, a city
Yeah,
football
true.
team that more people showed up for the Eagles parade than the entire national walk for the hostages.
Wow.
The Philadelphia Eagles have a higher
Exactly.
rating in Africa than Israel. They're a Philadelphia football team. They probably don't get seen in Africa, but they still have a higher rating than a country the size of New Jersey.
Right.
How come Israel's the size of New Jersey and the U.S. is its bitch, and we fund it? That's that. Is it kind
Exactly.
of?
Good.
I
That's
can't.
a good
I can't.
question.
I can't understand how a country the size of New Jersey that's only existed. You know that Israel's existed less than the Philadelphia Eagles have been around longer than Israel.
I know. Yeah.
That's insane. You guys haven't even been around that long, and you're already, I guess, running the show. Like, they don't have any exports of any interest. Like, what is one thing Israel's great at? The only sport that pops up is swimming. No knock to swimmers, but like, your
Yeah.
hooligans are crybabies. You guys went to the Netherlands, got your asses kicked. The Netherlands are not known to be so hard, bro. It's not even England. You guys got your ass kicked, and then we had to pay for a private jet, the working class, to funnel you babies out of there. You're yelling racist shit. You get your ass kicked, and then Netanyahu flies a private jet to rescue you. The idea of Green Street style hooligans who are known to fight at soccer games being given a private jet home because they feel unsafe is the biggest metaphor for what Israel is. They were already playing victim on their way back from bombing Iran. I
Hmm.
mean, they were
Yeah.
already,
That's.
bro. They're a walking onion article. It's it's
Yeah.
mind blowing.
Yeah. It is, man. Yeah. You know, they're the ones to cause the terror, but when as soon as the chickens come home to roost for them, then where's the world when you need it? Well, most of the world you alienated, you fucking idiots, because you fucking on in 4K you bumming innocent women and children. So you don't deserve no sympathy. Fuck you. That's where I am. That's the way I feel. Just fuck you.
Yeah, my thing too is like Right Brain supported Israel since or not Right Brain supported Palestine since 2016 when I had my awakening. It was one of the first issues I was like, "What's Palestine?" I was blunt. It really drew me in. I've been really, I think the thing when Bernie woke me up, I was way more interested in the imperialist foreign conflict stuff I'd ignored my whole life, what's happening in Syria, than I really was about like, yeah, I care about America working class, but we're also all like, even the poor living off the imperialism. People who have it 20 times worse than us, and a lot of people who are fleeing as migrants are coming from countries we destroyed. So for me, that became very interesting because I think imperialism is at the heart of all of it. Why don't we have money to fix roads? Why don't we have money for college? Because we send it to countries like Israel. They have free college and healthcare. We don't. So that started to unveil like a thread for me. But one of the greatest things ever happened meeting the Palestinian Network guys is like, I want to introduce you to people living in Gaza right now. That I encourage everyone to meet people, like talk to people in Gaza instead of people that talk about Gaza. And I always tell people, if you want to get people on your
Sure.
show that are in Gaza right now, if they have phone access, I know people in Gaza that would go on any show. They will risk their life to go on a show, your podcast. But people are like, no, instead we'll have like so and so commentator from another podcast who's never even been to Gaza and knows someone to talk about Gaza. Why don't you have someone from Gaza? So I ended up telling my friend Mohammed, like, I'm gonna put your number out to the world and whoever can call him. He's already been on like 2 shows, like, because we don't have a podcast. But when I started talking to people in Gaza, it was a life changer. Like my friend from Gaza had another guy that we know in Gaza die in his arms, and he's only 18 years old. His best friend died in his arms. His friend's not a militant. He was an influencer who like shared food, made recipes and fun videos, and like always had a smile under the occupation. And I didn't know this guy named Meadow Halami. But one night we did a thing called All Eyes on Rafa. We want to do this fun thing where we just paid a bunch of people in Gaza. Because believe it or not, people in Gaza want to do shit to stay active. So we were like, and they don't want charity all the time. So we're going to pay you guys. This is early in the conflict. We're going to pay you guys, and you just make any kind of art you want. It could be a phone video, it could be an interview, it could be a dance because they love dancing out there. And
Yeah,
then
they
we're gonna,
do. They really do.
yeah, then we're gonna post it live. It's gonna play live, which we never do. It's gonna play one night live. And Ramsey helped me put it together, and it was just so. It just changed everything. It wasn't abstract anymore. It wasn't something I was reading about on Wikipedia. It was like I am talking to people in Gaza, and so the one guy turned in an interview with his friend Meadow Halami. Like that didn't really mean anything to me. I'm like, oh, this guy seems cool. He was always smiling, and he gave a great interview. But I had to edit the interview because he had no software. So I spent hours editing an interview of this total stranger to air that night. So Meadow Halami got blown up like a month later and died in my friend's arms. So
Oh
it
man.
was very, it was almost felt like I knew the guy because when you cut an interview for days, it's like I just kept listening to him and listening to him. And so we went through a real identity crisis with Right You asked what Right is. Right is an anti-imperialist underground streaming site. We say the only a safe space for art to be dangerous. I know there's other people claiming they're lefty worker-owned streaming sites, but I'm seeing imperialists on your streaming sites, pro-Ukraine people, breadtube people. They may have followings and bring you numbers, but if there's even one imperialist on your site, it's imperialism. You ain't gonna find any motherfuckers that two-side issues or any vote Democrat war criminal shit on ours, right? We're past electoral politics, all right? So for me, having someone die in my friend's arms and him calling me the day after, it just hits totally different. I always cried over
Yes.
guys. I cried on JB's show. That was the last podcast I was on. I cried. It was super embarrassing, but it just, and I started thinking, is right brain really that important during this genocide? I'm starting to wonder if we really are that. Like, it changes a lot when there's a genocide happening. You're like, we've been saying for a
Yeah, me too.
while,
Yeah.
right? Like, is my podcast like there's a genocide? But then I swear to God, it was like from beyond the grave. So what I found out, so I ended up posting Meadow Halami's interview that only aired once live that like nobody really saw after he died. I'm like, I have his last interview ever. So we put it on YouTube for free.
Mm-hmm.
And my
Mm-hmm.
friend who he died in the arms of's podcast, GoFundMe we were running was getting no hits. So I linked it, and it turned out it's like a gift from beyond the grave. I didn't even know Meadow Halami was a big influencer with 125,000 following. I never looked him up. I just did his interview. He was huge. People went ape shit. They found my friend's GoFundMe, and it exploded. And it put Talal in a really good spot. It was like beyond the grave, right? But what was even crazier is I was starting to get really thinking about giving up. I was taking drugs. I was taking a bit of drugs during that because it was hard to continue on because I'm not running up in any buildings, and I feel like a scumbag for that. I feel like a scumbag that I'm not out there throwing Molotov cocktails in the street. To be honest, I still can't really justify it. All I can do is try to do my best to try to decolonize people's minds through the works of others who are much better. I consort with I like to consort with my betters. Everybody who made a movie on Right Brain's a better person than me. Africa, Ireland, more courageous than me. All I can do is try to get that in front of you for now. But the thing I will say is it was like beyond the grave. Meadow Halami was this incredible person because Talal told me, did you know that he was a right brain? Where I was like, no way. He's like, dude, he loved your guys' mission. It's like, it just, it, it just kind of changed everything. I was like, wow, this Palestinian who like back against the wall actually thought what we were doing was even semi-important. Even gave it one thought. That kind of changed things. I'm like, okay, it maybe we should be doing this. He's like, no, you guys got to keep going because at the end of the day, Israel ain't going to be the first or the last, and
Right.
we need as many gray zones. And we did some of them with Max, and I was like, we need to link up more, the film and the independent and the podcast. Like I feel like we're
Yeah.
all separate. Like what we're doing, like why aren't we mixing together? Because we are all a part of the resistance, the revolution, the anti-imperialist visual journalism. It's all tied together. We don't have a gun in our hand, but we have a weapon in other ways because the intelligence warfare by the enemy is one of the most powerful. How do you think Israel's been able to pull this shit off? Intelligence warfare from Israel might be the thing they're the best at because they suck at everything else. They're not good at rapping. They're not good at dancing. They're not good at sports. They're not good at being street hooligans. They're not good at crime. I think they're just known for what ecstasy and what modest Yahoo. That's not great. And if
Yeah.
and if
True.
if we didn't fund all their weapons, they'd be out of business in 2 weeks. They don't have any imports. They're not known for any vegetables. So I'm saying, like, for me, I think that like we're more powerful. The people are waking up. I mean, 5 years ago, you wouldn't have thought Israel would be this exposed. It was unheard of to go against Israel. I think this is the thing. It's not my place to say whether what Hamas. I don't even speak on what I don't condemn Hamas. I support Hamas, but it's not even my
Same.
place anyway. Who gives a fuck what I think? Even if I was going to, but I don't. We
Me
support them
too.
because I'm not Palestinian. So when I talk to my friends out there, and I won't name anyone, there are mixed feelings about Hamas, but it's more of a desperateness of they're so starving and they're in so much pain and they're not militants, they're not trained hard that you just kick an animal instinct of like maybe if like they just give up, we'll get food. Like that's very normal. There's nothing you can hate about that.
Yeah,
I'm not going
that's
to
why. Yeah,
judge. I won't judge that. But what I will say is this: it's up to the people of Gaza to say whether or not if Hamas was to give up right now with this hardball shit and say, "Hey, it'll all stop, all this horror, these 100,000 people will end if you just give up the hostages." Does that wouldn't that mean that everything they just did the last 2 years, they exposed Israel? They 20% of the world likes Israel. It was not 20 before you exposed their asses to the fucking world, dude. You have 10-year-olds seeing what Israel is. No one's been able to do that in 50 fucking years, dude. Hollywood spent
yep,
50 years building up Israel and you shattered it in two. If you give it all up now, and they're definitely going to kill them as soon as they give it up. You really trust that once you give those hostages, they're going to let you get out alive? Israel's
oh
never
no,
come through on a single deal they've ever made. They don't know what ceasefire deals. They don't know what deals are. They don't get that a deal
they don't.
requires two sides. It's so insane how egocentric. Like, yeah, we'll do a ceasefire, and then immediately shoot in the head, and then you shoot back. Like, how could you? You know, like it's so because they think they're the chosen race.
Yeah,
Muslims don't think they're the chosen race. Israel thinks they're the chosen race. Muslims are a religion that follows a God. Israel, they are the God. The God hasn't come yet. Some book told me this land's mine, and I'm the God, basically. Like till God comes, right? How could the chosen race be Michael Rappaport? If he's the chosen race, I don't
oh
even want to meet
God,
God. He looks like he
yeah,
N64 create a character. He's got this lumpy face. He's like
yeah,
he looks like a
zit
beach
on his.
whale. He got herpes. He's a beach whale. He's the chosen one. Or that
Oh
guy who's like the
Jesus,
48th writer
oh,
of Borat, who's always running his mouth, that little
right,
petulant dwarf who climbs five, phone book stacks to be able to get up there and polish his cheesy little participation Oscar for a movie that didn't even have a script. How'd you get an Oscar for a movie that is improv? That's so, Borat is the biggest scam. I used to think it was funny. They tricked me because you know why they picked Kazakhstan? It's not really Kazakhstan because when I went to film school in LA, I met someone from Kazakhstan, and I realized I've been lied to this whole time. Kazakhstan are
wow,
like they're Eurasian. Borat is literally they're literally doing like a chic parody. It's funded by Zionists, and they're pretending they're trying to expose the post 9/11 American racism. No, that's your smokescreen. You picked Kazakhstan because nobody could find it on a fucking map. No one knows what it is. People thought you made it up. It's a country like it's a Eurasian country. It doesn't have any of the things you're doing. You're basically doing Gaza. There's a scene where they go to Kazakhstan, the movie. It looks like rubble and slums. My friend from Kazakhstan does not live like that. You should see photos. It's a kingdom. It's cleaner than LA. Not a lot of homeless people. It's beautiful. He picked Kazakhstan because no one knew what it was, but it's actually a Muslim country. It's 100%, dude. People in Kazakhstan don't want to throw Jews down wells. What Eurasian country has a feud with? What have you ever heard of Kazakhstan getting into with Israel? It's a lie. They picked a country no one's ever heard of, but it's actually because they knew they'd get in trouble, and it's actually like any Muslim country. He's clearly supposed to be like a chic style, and the fact that it won an Oscar tells you all you need to know. He did a minstrel show, and he actually stoked that more than doing anything. How'd you expose it? And if it was supposed to expose Muslims, how come no Muslims worked on it? Not a single Muslim comedian worked on it. It's funded by Zionists. You tricked me, and I fell for it. And that's how disgusting their information warfare is. Is you actually had us thinking you were like exposing some shit, but the whole time you were just dehumanizing Muslims in a different way through comedy this time. It's not an action movie, it's a comedy. It's just crazy to me. They're really good. The one thing they're good at is information warfare. I mean, I can't name
yes,
one good Israeli movie, but they know how to fucking work their way in, find talented people in Hollywood, and have them do their fucking bidding, dude. Like, it's crazy to me. Like, how come there hasn't been a single Israeli villain in any movie ever?
exactly. I noticed that. No, I just not noticed that when you just said that. Yeah, I noticed. Um, it's
Let
by
me ask you one
intent.
thing. Let me ask you one thing. How many crime movies have you seen about the Israeli mafia?
None, literally.
So
That's right.
the last movie made by the guy that made The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly before he died is called Once Upon a Time in America. So I never watched it, and about 2 weeks ago, I decided to take LSD on a whim. I hadn't taken it in 10 years. I had it in my head stash, and I thought today's the day. I just want to take acid and watch this movie Once Upon a Time in America. This 3.5 hours long. I didn't know much about it even. I heard it's very controversial. It's about Israeli gangsters. Okay. It was written by an Israeli gangster under a fake name because he turned snitch. He was linked up with Murder Incorporated. They were way more ruthless. They were like Israelis. They were way more ruthless than the Italian mafia. Like they funded Murder Incorporated, right? So Murder Incorporated. See, how come we haven't heard of them? Because Israel. They don't want that out. Because people in Murder Incorporated, Lansky, they were involved in with the founders of Israel. They were sending weapons over during the war with the Arabs. They were guarding the ports and actually intercepting weapons that were supposed to be going to Arabs. The Israeli gangsters have played a massive role in founding this gangster colony. And what's crazy is Murder Incorporated runs it just like Israel. They were the first people that if they wanted to, they had 1,000 hitmen that were just nobodies. They'd be like, they find some homeless guy in the street and be like, we get $1,000 if you kill this guy. And the reason they did that is because that guy was so low level, he was always insulated from the boss. He couldn't even narc if he got caught because these three middlemen remove nobody who's not connected to the family. The mafia have to be in the family. They were just grabbing like random people. Hey, it's the depression. You kill someone, we'll give you $1,000. Back then, it's a lot of fucking money to kill somebody.
Right.
So they had like 1,000 shooters that had absolutely no idea who even ran the organization. Murder Incorporated was probably way worse than the Italian Mafia, but all we've ever seen in Italian Mafia movies. And when I watched this movie one time in America, I was like, these motherfuckers are way colder than the fucking Italians. But how come this movie got totally sunk in Hollywood? It's a masterpiece. I was on acid, but I was like, this is amazing. Like Robert De Niro's in it, and I'm like, this movie. James Woods is in it too, and I'm like, this is it's wild, bro. It's really crazy.
Wow.
It's like it'll blow your mind. It's hard too. These Israeli guys these Jewish gangsters are hard though. Like they dude, I mean, they're baby snatching. I mean, they're going in places and snatching the police commissioner's baby. I mean,
Damn.
and then switching it into a different crib so that no one knows whose baby's whose. So a
Oh
poor
shit.
baby might have just been born to a rich person and they just turn their entire life in the flip of a thing and they give no fucks. At one point, they switch 100 babies and they're like, we're not going to tell you who your baby is unless you back off the unions, right? So the guy tells them, but they lost the sheet that said whose baby was whose. And they laugh about it. They're like, we just might have made a poor person rich, a rich person poor. This guy might have been born in a rich family and now he's going to be living in the slums. And they thought it was hilarious. That's fucking wild. And I watched this on acid, like, you just upended 100 lives, sending them with different parents because no one can recognize a baby. You just altered 100 lives to threaten a police commissioner, and you think it's funny. Like, but the thing is, Israel has really been able to control the narrative. There's so many Italian movies, but we don't even hear about the Israeli mob because or the Jewish gangsters because they were involved in Israel. They helped fund it. They had meetings with some of those Zionists, like the really extreme guys. Like, why is that story not told? Because Israel won't let it be told, and instead we get fucking Zero Dark 30 and then it wins 16 Oscars. It's all so pre-programmed. You're like programmed thinking, oh, but it won an Oscar, so it must be good. Why? We're
Yeah.
at 2 won an
Exactly.
Oscar. That movie's trash, bro. We're at 2 is trash. I hope Lee Kern, you probably would never see this. Dude, I hope that guy comes to Philly. I would willingly go to jail to punch Lee Kern in the face. That guy's the biggest fucking. He's such a
Yeah.
petulant little dwarf, dude, and he's so talentless. Like, you were the 48th writer on Borat 2. Like, why do you think you keep bragging about it? He was trying to pull Boots Riley's card. No one knows Boots Riley. What? No one knows Boots Riley, really. But we know the 45th writer of Borat 2. I mean, that shit was wild to me, man. Zionists really live in another world. He said Boots Riley was a nobody. You know Boots
Oh
Riley,
shit.
right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I definitely do.
Dude, guy was a rapper before he even made movies. He's been around for like a long,
Yeah.
like he's not around a
Yeah.
minute, dude. He's been
Yeah.
good at everything he's ever fucking tried in his life, like I mean, he might be
Yeah.
the only ally we have in the industry that can get shit made, He might be the only person who fucks with us that's actually got any position of power.
True. Exactly. Um, before we go, I usually ask all my guests some closing questions. So, I mean, you ain't gotta rush through them. I answer 'em. I ask them. Just take your time. So the first one is, what are 5 dinner guests you would invite, dead or alive?
Yeah, I've been ranting a lot because it's like I've been on a desert island. I've been on a podcast in a year, over a year.
Take your
So
time.
I'm just
Yeah,
like
I understand.
civilization. So I'm gonna calm it down a bit. Also, as you
Okay.
can tell, I'm really passionate in what we're doing. And that's where it
Yes,
gets. I'm just really believing. So okay, so five. I would say Rainer Werner Fassbender. He's a terrible person, but he's my favorite filmmaker. He was not a good guy, but um, if you can get fake leftists to throw acid at you in your movie print because you're exposing the sellout left, you've succeeded in what you're trying to do. If you can will someone to throw acid at you, I love his movies. I highly recommend people. He made 40 movies in 20 years. Died at 35. I think he died. He made 40 plus movies.
that's
Died on
amazing.
coke. Just ran coke all day. So I'd have him
Wow.
there. Guy's
Okay.
great. Um, but I would say, dude, you should have treated your people better. I mean, you were not a good guy, but you made great movies. I would say like none of these are gonna be like the usual like geez, like they're gonna be probably obscure. Um,
That's fine.
yeah, probably Gary Webb because not only was he one of the greatest, Dark Alliance is one of the greatest journalist books I've ever read. I think it's phenomenal, but I also don't think he shot himself twice in the head. I tend to agree with Freeway Rick Ross that he was not suicidal and then he was killed by the CIA for exposing their crack dealing. And so I would like to ask him what really went down. Because
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, Gary Webb was really depressed because they were ruining his career for telling the truth. But two bullets to the head's a little sus, and I'd love to talk to Gary Webb. Now I'm gonna go to some females. Um, Leela Khaled would be up there. There's a lot of female revolutionaries that don't get enough credit, whether from the Sandinistas, from Lebanon movements, Eritrea. There's a lot of the a lot of the Eritrea rebels in Africa, which is a very little known country. They don't even really have movies. They just had people come to their country and film their revolution. They're fucking hard, straight up guerrilla stuff. So if you go tonight to watch Africa Rising, check out Reacher because it's just like them in the field fighting the revolution. But I'm
Okay.
saying I would talk to anyone from any they don't need to be famous. Any woman guerrilla from any revolution because I feel like Mal had it right. They're the backbone. If you really dig in, like they go hard, dude. Oh my god, like they're the heroes of history. I mean, like they both nurtured, but also were risking their life to kill. Like it's. I think that it doesn't need to be a notable name to me to just be able to learn anything from people who have really been in the field and actually put their life on the line for the greater cause. To me, is like I'm not even doing that now, right? We say we want to
Right.
do it, but few of us would actually do it. And so, like, I would like
That's
them to be
true.
able to flick that switch in my head where I say, okay, maybe I'm ready now. Like, maybe it takes learning from some of these people because like the Viet Cong, Ho Chi Minh would be up there. I mean, dude, that's the thing that's amazing is the U.S. found out real quick and history's repeated itself. You cannot kill principles. You may have every bomb in the world, but you cannot kill the Viet Cong because their will to fight is bigger than your will to imperialize. Like yours is based on profit and capital. Theirs is based on true beliefs, and that's why the Viet Cong in jungle combat using like beehives and holes in the ground were able to scare the West away, dude. I love the story where Nixon was like, we're going to drop a nuke on you if you don't stop. You can back out right now, just like Trump's doing. It didn't work then. It didn't work now. He came back harder, dude. Drop the
Yeah.
nuke then. Because if I give it up, it's over anyway. Like anyone who I can talk to and learn any of that would be amazing to me. I think that Rome, I think, felt to me like I'd have Rome there because like I just don't get to see him enough. Like if he lived near me, I try to see him all the time. Like I feel like of all the people I've worked with, we may look odd next to each other because I'm probably the nerdiest white guy but I feel like he could have been my brother somewhere down the line. Like I feel like I connect better with him than people I grew up around. Like I don't know what it is. We've lived totally different lives, but there's a mutual respect there. I'll never forget when I sent him the first 10 minutes. I didn't show him anything for like 6 months. He didn't even hear from me. I just didn't want to be anywhere near this guy. He's going to influence my shit. Forgot all about him. And when it started getting good, I sent him the first 10. I'm like, tell me what you think of this. And he's just in the field. Like, he's like, the first thing, the only vote we should be doing is who gets the guillotine next. Which politician gets the guillotine next. And cuts to a young kid watching him. He's like, call me, dude, this is. And I was like, I've never seen any movie that opens this hard that's real. So I think I would always be down to have Rome there just because I don't get to see him enough. So I'd say Rome. I don't want to say Lula Khaled. Any female guerrilla or member of any liberation front, big or small name, who's been out there in the field, because I can learn a lot from it. Rainer Werner Fassbender, the German director. Who else did I say? Ho Chi Minh for sure, and I think I forget it. I'm sorry. I mean, they're all Rome. I was
Yeah.
running. Yeah, Rome. You get
Yeah.
the gist.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that'll be that. Man, I bet that dinner conversation would be amazing. I know it would.
I think so. I feel like I'm definitely the lamest guy there. I feel like I won a contest or something, right? Like who's,
Oh yeah. It's like a lifetime, once in a lifetime type of moment.
oh, I'd be
Okay.
fanboying out. I'd be fanboying out. Ho Chi Minh's here, Rome's here, like some female
Yeah.
gorilla's here, and I'd be just trying to soak it all up, keep my mouth shut. Believe it or not.
Yeah. The second question, what's your favorite comfort foods, man? Like what you love to eat, if you're feeling down or even in a good mood.
My favorite vegetable, cigarettes. That's my comfort food. I smoke them all day, and I don't even care if they're addictive. I'll never quit, and I love them. And if it kills me, I don't give a fuck. I love cigarettes. I don't think right
Okay.
brain could exist without cigarettes. I smoke like 20 American spirits a day, and like if I didn't, I couldn't go on. So
Okay. Okay. Hey, like JB said, smoke them if you got them. Hey, you gotta do what you gotta do. Um, um, where do you see Kevin in 10 years from now?
if I end up not inheriting my dad's heart issue, which it runs in one side of my family and the other lives really long, I could see myself probably. So I'll be 48. I probably have 12 years left with the way I lived, and I'm okay with that. I think for me, in 10 years, if Right Brain is doing well enough that I can start creating a platform where I can fund the kind of filmmakers that tell me in these communities that they want to tell their stories their way, but they can't because I'm black. I can't tell that extreme shit. But what if we bankrolled you? And what if it was audience powered and the people that wanted to see that you were directly connected to? If I could become that, I don't want to make more Death to Americans. I want to be the stepping stone so people can make their own movies of whatever it is. I want Right Brain to be what HBO should have been. HBO when it started, when like if The Sopranos, like not Sopranos low, I'm saying like full creative control of the people that deserve it, who've been ignored by this industry, and not just minorities, rednecks too. Everybody that they've tried to exploit and stigmatize and speak for and turn to characters and demean and dehumanize. It's time to put the cameras in their hands and let's fund it and let them tell their stories. That's what makes African cinema so good. Africa Risings. These people are telling their stories for once. We don't see that in the West at all. It's always like a white guy writing for a black guy. I love The Sopranos, but watch every black character. It's unbelievable. You can tell a white guy wrote it. Oh yeah, 187. Like it's the only bad part of The Sopranos. You ever notice that? You ever watch that show? It's
Yeah.
got the
Oh yeah.
the best writing ever, except for black characters. Crazy.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I definitely agree. If you were president, what five executive orders would you sign on the first day?
God damn, these are. I feel like I'm at it like the coolest job interview ever, but like I'm high as a kite. And I'm like, I want 72 hours of sleep. Give me so this one. Give me a second on it.
Yeah.
Um,
Take your time.
5 executive orders. I'm not sure like what the limitations. I would hear like they're not like all right, the first thing I would do is there will be no more funding for Israel.
Okay.
There will be no more funding for we're pulling out okay, that's the first thing. No more overseas money to any country that is committing imperialism. We're going to spend the next 4 years trying to make amends, which is impossible with all the countries we fucked over. Like we're going to go to Iran hat in hand, apologize, and say what can we do to make it up. I know we can never make it up. Every country we fucked over, we're going to go and say, how can we fix this? Number two, we're leaving NATO. Done. Even though we started it, dissolve it. Hey, Bricks, like, I know that we started the thing against you, but like that was the old leadership. We killed them. Can we, in my world, we overthrew them. Can we come join you guys and change the name of the country entirely and start fresh? Right? You have to. America's got to go. Name's got to go. New branding.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was the
America's
old guard.
tainted. Oh yes.
Right?
Yes.
We executed them, and now we're going to do a new thing. So I think building up all the people we're enemies with in my executive orders, I'd be working to build alliances with. If we worked with Russia, it'd be dope as fuck. We worked with China, it'd be dope as fuck. Like, why can't we all work together, like, to make the world a better place? So I think a lot of them would be foreign policy based, but then I'd raise the minimum wage. Um, you know what I would do? I'd bring the Chinese rules here. If you're a corrupt politician, you'll be executed. If you're a local
Oh
mayor that steals,
yeah.
we ain't gonna execute like the people getting called. We're not gonna throw people in jail for like for drugs. We're gonna send them to rehab. But if you're out here doing that, you're dead. If you're in government, you do it, you're dead. That'll really make you think twice. That's why they don't have nearly as much government corruption, is because they don't want to die, right? Like
Exactly.
they do, they hang you. It's not even a question. Like I saw a mayor get taken out in a small town by the police, and I think he was hanged. I mean, let me tell you this: if the guy Luigi Maggione shot was doing that corrupt, shady shit, which is probably actually illegal in China, where it's not illegal here, I don't think you're allowed to do what he was doing. Purposely blow claims. I think they'll arrest you for that. He very likely could have been killed by the government, as corruption charges are serious there. People say that weed is serious. Yeah, that's 20 years ago. Now you're likely to go to rehab. They really believe in rehab now, but they will hang you if you are dirty dealing. And I like that. That'd probably be the first executive order. Let's start hanging politicians that are corrupt.
Oh hell
Watch how
yeah.
many of these motherfuckers stop going out for that job. Congress would be empty. Oh my
Oh
God.
yeah. Yeah yeah.
People would they'd go work for like a I don't know like a private insurance. You know what I mean? Like nobody would
Yeah.
this whole Congress would be different if they got paid $200,000 a year and weren't allowed to be corrupted or killed. Could you imagine
Oh yeah.
the Democratic Party be hanging and be a fucking you know what I mean? Like be hanging in the fucking town square, dude. None of them would apply
Yeah.
for the job. Like, wait, I can't exploit this for my riches. I should just go work for like a private firm or something. What's the point of doing the job? These people are supposed to make like 200K a year. It's so absurd. AOC is the
Yeah.
way. I hate when people bring up AOC. I've gone to a lot of shows, and even now they're like, "Why are you still asking me about AOC?" Like, she is every other story we've ever seen. They go in, say they're going to change it from the inside. Anyone who tells you they're
Exactly.
going to change it from the inside is lying to you. Maybe they don't know it yet, but
Yeah.
subconsciously they want to be on the inside,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
They don't even know
Exactly.
it yet. Because if you really want to change it, you change it from the outside. You go get a fucking nuke or a bazooka or start a guerrilla cell. Like if you really want to change it, you wouldn't go inside unless you're not like some undercover fucking thing dressed in a, but you know what I mean? Like dressed like Nancy Pelosi mini getting information on a committee. Like that's not how it works, dude. The inside. Oh my god,
Yeah.
dude. I mean, we don't need anybody doing that. Nobody else should go into that lion's den. We either need a third
Hey.
party. I don't even, you know, third
Hey,
party. I
what
don't
you
even
think
believe.
about Shamsa One? Hey, what you think about Shamsa One though? You think what she doing is the right thing, or you think she should continue working from nowhere
Who?
near electoral politics? Shamsa One,
How
the
do you
leader of Worker Strike Back.
Oh yeah. No, I think that there's certain levels of office, as corrupted as they are, that their hands are so full on the bigger elections being corrupt that I don't think it's impossible you could win. It's happened before. Like people have won that are kind of fringe before. It's not impossible because they might overlook that race. I mean, they're not as together as we think they are. They're prescription pill headed, they're way too cocky nowadays, but they don't realize they're getting cockier. They have us under their control, but we're waking up. They're not in these groups we're in on Facebook. We're cheering on Iran. They don't realize how wise we are to it. And I think that there's a chance she could pull the rug out because they think she has no chance and they don't waste that much resource. They only have so many resources. They think she has no chance. I don't know. I met a guy the other day who has never served in office and just graduated college. He's a black guy from DC who's lived like in the trenches, but he very much knows what people need, and he's like, I'm running for mayor. That's unheard
Yeah.
of 3 years ago. He has no connection. I'm like, you're running for mayor? He's like, yeah, because people in my community look like me, and the days are over. We don't need somebody who went to some Ivy League. We need just a regular guy because that shit ain't
Yeah.
working. And I thought I would vote for you 100%. And I'm like, I think you could actually win on the fact that I'm not from there. I'm not with any of those guys. That is the tide turning. That would never be possible 3 years ago. A nobody guy running for mayor with almost no money saying, I'm like you, I'm not with them. I think that it might be possible that she could win. I really do. I think the tide's turning, but president never. Jill Stein did not get 3%. No
Oh no.
fucking 30. Dude, come on. They're never going to let her
Seven hundred
win.
thousand votes or something like that. So yeah, it's not
They're just
possible.
like
Yeah.
Jill Stein, rip, Jill Stein, rip. Like there's definitely trucks in a landfill somewhere with like 8 million Jill Stein votes because everyone hated Trump and Clinton that year. Come on.
Yeah.
Gary
I
Johnson
agree.
did better than Jill Stein. You expect me to believe Gary Johnson? I went to both their rallies in Philly that weekend. We filmed them and then we cut them back and forth to each other. Gary Johnson looked like a game show host. That shit was a bunch of like white dudes in their dad's suit, and we were at like Chickies and Pete's. He couldn't even fill a
Oh my
Chickies and
god.
Pete's. He beat Jill Stein. Come on, man.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, and that's one thing too about electoral politics. Like our elections aren't transparent. So really, to be honest with you, what I need to start doing instead of talking a lot about electoral politics. I need to start talking about like what can we do to like overthrow, you know what I mean, more rhetoric like that. Um, Last
I mean,
question.
yeah, wait. I want to go with all of what you say because you see, you move on, but you say a lot of shit that just gets my mind flowing. Like, I think the people who say you got to build community first is true because if you live in a tight knit enough community and you're all together, even if your politician is like the guy calling the shots, I mean, if you got enough people and the whole community's against him, I mean, he'd be pretty dumb to really. You definitely got to put a little fear in him because it's all of you against him. Like I said, some of these smaller communities, like if the whole community's together on it, if you can break that thing of them turning you against each other, since Jim Crow, the oldest trick in the book where your enemy is your neighbor or your neighbor is your enemy who has no power, not me. If we can break free of that, then yeah, I think the community is really where it starts. But you also said, what did you just said? Go back to can you say the last part you said because it had my mind swimming before we move on. I know you got to go. Say it again.
Oh
The
yeah,
last.
I said that instead of me talking about electoral politics all the time, I need to talk about community building and ways to like when the revolution comes, whenever whenever that time has come, like need to talk, just try to how I say it. Fuck. Excuse me. I'm kind of
No, I'm the
um,
same, bro. I'm the same.
just yeah, just try to you know like tell people like, hey, the whole entire electoral system is fucked. Like, nothing will be achieved through electoral politics. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, it's other ways. It is. It's a lot of other ways we can build power. Like JB said, build through dual power through mutual aid and stuff like that. That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah, that's what RBN showed me too. Like we started doing a lot more stuff after we remember. I mean, we always would do like giveaways and things, but that was actually when we remember Right Brain started like 6 months later we found out about Rome. And from that point on, we never did a screening without giving money to the and the thing is, I will say, I kind of hope that there's sort of a Putney Swope outcome where they're so cocky and so racist and so imperialist that they end up being their downfall. Have you ever seen a movie called Putney Swope? Putney
I heard
Swope.
of it before.
So the guy who plays Iron Man, Robert Downey Jr.'s dad was like a hippy dippy '60s director named Robert Downey Sr. He's the opposite of
Oh,
Robert
okay.
Downey Jr. And he used to give
Yeah.
his son coke when he was 13. He was a nut. And he would hang out with Jack Nicholson. Not a great guy, but he made a bunch of really weird movies. One of them's genius though. The only part is the movie's a little off color, so he dubs the black guy's voice. He claims the black actor was drunk the whole time and fucked his stuff up. The black actor claims he was always going to dub my voice to make it goofy. But the concept's brilliant. It's about an ad executive company that works with really bad companies, destroying pushing terrible things. And there's one black guy on the board named Putney Swope. And so in the middle of the meeting, the head of the company has a heart attack. It's like some admin shit. So they have to vote on a new head of the company, but you can't vote for yourself. So everybody votes for the black guy Putney Swope, thinking no one will. So he wins. And he becomes the head of the company. He fires all the white guys and changes the company to be called like Truth and Soul. And they start doing advertisements for all the shit that is real, that like militants. And it's a really interesting movie. But what I'm saying is the incompetence of how much they doubt our power may be their downfall. No one's going to vote for Putney Swope. I think that you guys are so out of touch that you didn't realize everyone was going to vote for Putney Swope. I think in a way their incompetence is going to be their downfall and are more radicalizing. There's going to be a point where we keep getting more radical. We're already saying death to America, and they're going to keep getting more cocky and disillusioned. And at some point, the rubber's going to meet the road. And I'm not going to say what's going to happen, but there's got to be a breaking point. Look at every revolution that ever happened. I don't care if, dude, the Northern Vietnamese fought the West, the whole
Yeah.
West. They were living in the jungle. They were using. They had a weapon where, like, if you stepped on this thing, it would pull a rope and open a hornet's nest. And then when you ran away from it, there'd be a bunch of holes in the ground covered in grass with spikes in them. So you're running from the bees. Like, trust me, there's a will, there's a way. It's not
Exactly.
easy to kill people, dude. It's not as you would think. That's why I don't buy the Hamas did that, blew those cars up, and were raping people while they're shooting it out with the IDF. The story is so preposterous. A bunch of hardcore Muslims are having a gang orgy at a Nova Fest while shooting it out with a military that's way. It's so absurd that's why they don't
Yeah.
show it in the footage.
Yeah.
It's
Exactly.
crazy. The fact they tell us that to our face and expect us to imagine that actually happened is unbelievable. How could you be having a shootout and raping? Who even is thinking about that when they have one of those powerful militaries shooting at them and they've got machine guns and there's Apache helicopters, but you've got time to pull your dick out at? It's just so crazy to me.
Exactly.
Oh my god, this stuff. Israel's so used to people just blindly saying okay, they don't realize this script hasn't been changed in like 48 years or something. Like, you guys got to get a new screenwriter from Hollywood. You got plenty of them. Pick a better
Yeah.
one. You know.
Yeah. That's so true. Last question. Which person will you want to see on the Good Faith show, but you have to convince them to come on?
Um, I think there's two. I would, if I got offered any like really really. I mean, this to me this is a podcast that's got a bigger following than we do, and for me that's always, I'll go on any podcast, so even if it's five people. I just think it's great to connect, but I would give my spot up on any podcast I got invited to get somebody from Gaza. Talal, shout out to Talal, shout out to Mohaned. I would 100% give my spot. There's just some, they're the most beautiful people I've ever met. Also, Monair. Monair is lives in Florida. He's a filmmaker, but he never made a movie before. Only worked on crew, so he didn't know anything about tech. But he's had 33 family members and friends killed since October 7th. If you can picture that,
Oh wow.
I don't think I've had 33 people in my life killed since October 7th. 33 family members and friends. And he made a movie called Gaza is Our Home that does the opposite and shows you Gaza before this started. Yeah, it was occupation, but they made the most of it. They held college things. They had dance offs. Like, they were
They
so
did.
resilient that they made it their paradise. If you talk to people in Gaza, they'll say, yeah, we were under occupation, but they're the most positive people. I've heard Israelis whine constantly since October 7th, the oppressor. They don't complain. They always smiling, and they barely ever mention Israel. That's the crazy part. When I go on my feed, it's just Zionists shitting on Gaza civilians. And when I talk to the phone to them, they don't even say the word Israel. They don't even mention them. They'll say they're starving us. They don't say Zionist. They don't say imperialist. That's Western talk. It's just not in their culture. That blew my mind. It was a beauty and a grace I almost couldn't imagine because of the stuff I say about Israel. I was like, wow, they're bombing you, and you guys have so much fucking grace that you will not waste your time to say something negative. I'm telling you, have Monair on. He'll tell you the Muslim culture, the Palestinian culture. It's just, it gives me chills. Like, I had him come on my show to play his movie, and he somehow FaceTimed after the movie with his friends in the refugee camp, his cousins. First time I ever seen him do that while we were doing my show. They smiled the whole time and said, if you ever come out here, we're going to take care of you. And I was like, God, I know people that'll treat you like shit the rest of the day because they missed the bus or because they, like, whatever, something stupid, lost their weed. These people are being bombed and still telling me they're going to take me out and tour me around. Like, I just think that the reason Israel is so scared of Palestine is because they do these terrible bullying tactics and they can't break them, and it hurts them because they know in their heart they'll never be. They know deep down, like, that it scares them that Palestine could smile after they just unleashed that much bombing on them and will not fold. That's a strength
Yeah.
that Israel couldn't even imagine because they cry at the smallest thing. You're talking about polar opposites. You know what I mean? The most destroyed community smiling in the face of it. The people, you say one mean thing and they cry to like your local congressman to make speech illegal. And that scares Israel. So I would say get any Palestinian on here or someone like Monair. I would love to give my spot up to them because it's a tribute just to get to talk to them. I mean, they're just amazing. If you can't
Exactly.
get them, if
Yeah.
you can't get them, get Ramsey from Palestine News Network. He's fucking hilarious and he's out there dunking on
Oh yeah.
Zionists.
Okay.
He'll talk to
Okay.
anyone.
Yeah. Yeah. And on Instagram I seen Palestinian kids dancing to, I think they're moonwalking or some dancing to Michael Jackson music, and I'm like,
Yeah.
so around them you can see rubble, just none but rubble, and these kids are still finding a way to entertain and stay positive. Like that hits you different, man. It does. It really does. So
Before we go, see again. You end on something that you say a lot of things that are very. You speak less than me, but you say more sometimes, and I like that about you. That's why we're good. Like, I tend to rant. I am Jewish. I come from that background. I also haven't slept, and it's just I'm
are
a
you
little
good?
neurotic. But I
Yeah.
like it because you center me because you say a lot with less words, and that's sometimes more powerful. But I will say this: I think that Israel and the West think that. Don't get me wrong, Ho Chi Minh. All the people who do fight fire with fire are absolutely warriors. But the same way I was saying, a movie doesn't have to be so on the nose; it could just be a smaller thing. Watching a kid breakdance in rubble with a smile on his face, with everything they faced, is actually way makes you way stronger in just that one action as a human being than dropping lots of firepower on children. There's nothing strong about that. There's nothing powerful about that. It's the weakest thing ever. To be honest, you know what I mean? Like there's not there, it's stronger to breakdance in the rubble, and that's something that people in Gaza tell me because it almost bothers me. Like, how can you guys not hate these people? It's like that's such a Western thought process. It's like they're so strong in their convictions as Muslims, as Palestinians in their culture that that's just not them. Like it doesn't matter. Like that's how much they believe in something. It is almost hard to facet believing in something that strongly. It's almost like wow, it almost gives you the chills because like I don't know if anyone in America believes in anything that strongly and that selflessly, right? So stop trying to tell
Hmm.
me Islam and Muslim are the dangers and they want to spread it around. Like maybe spreading Muslim wouldn't be that bad in Islam. I mean, the people I know that are some of those peaceful, beautiful people in the world, and I think that's what scares Israel. It just bothers them so much how graceful and incredible the Palestinians are, and that like they just can't let the secret get out that they're these weak. They're not even religious. Like they're just,
Nah.
like they're
Yeah.
not religious. They don't have strong convictions like that. They're not blowing people up for any conviction. They're just stealing land, selling to fat couples in Jersey, and that's why they'll never defeat the Palestinians because that's what they thought. They thought it'd be easy to beat Ho Chi Minh. Oh, look at these! They're in the jungle. They're farmers. Like it's not like that in the real world. It's hard to kill a spirit that is fighting to, like really believes it, even if you have every bomb in the world. It's not easy to wipe out a society. We see that in Ukraine. It's a small
Yeah.
country too. They should be done by now. I'm even a little impressed they're still going.
Yeah.
Like
Exactly.
the will to
Yeah.
fight's surprising to me, man. It's surprising. I hope one day I have that will to fight. We all need that will to fight. We all need to
We
say
need it.
one day,
Yeah.
like, we don't have much. Let's just give it all up. But it takes
Yeah.
everyone to do it. One guy running up in a building and do anything, you know?
Yeah. Exactly. Oh man, man. I thought this was gonna go like about an hour, but man, if I didn't have to go,
I
we'll
went I
still be
went too
talking.
much, bro. I went too
No,
much,
you
bro.
good, man. You good, man. Like, hey, on the ATP network, man. Our motto is we the voice. We the voice for everybody, man. Like, you know, you could have kept going if you wanted to, but yeah, I do gotta go. Um, Kevin, where can people find you in White Brain TV?
So rightbraintv.com. And I want to say we're running a promotion right now because they're trying to make it illegal for BDS. We're going around that. Anytime the Houthis hit Israel, we're going to do 45% off sale. Straight up. So anytime the Houthis hit the colonizers, we celebrate by giving you half off membership. That's $30 right now. We're running for all 16 Africa collections and the other 16 movie collections on there, all the originals for $30. And unlike these other streaming sites, we want you to cheat it. We're gonna give you the cheat. Get 5 friends and throw $5 up each and share the account. Right? So $6 up each, right? Like you're all gonna have
Yeah.
years worth of access. We love when people do that. So yeah, I just go to rightbraintv.com. We also do Classic Movie Mondays, and we have a whole library of books. There's music too. That's free, like works of Ho Chi Minh. I mean, there's a lot of stuff on there. It's a library of radical literature. I definitely think you should check that out too. If you don't have any money, and if you're disabled, just hit us up. We just give free accounts away to people who are disabled. It's just pay what you can. It's
Uh,
nothing. Free account. So
oh yeah, that's dope, man. That's dope. And
mhm.
I'm so glad, man. Like, ever since I discovered you guys, I've been watching more of you guys' content than Netflix and Hulu. So, and I'm learning every day as I watch your stuff. So I very appreciate you guys. I mean, you guys put in a lot of work, man. You told me y'all y'all work for 3 days straight at times. Like, that's amazing. Like, you said podcasting is hard, but I know filmmaking is even harder. Like, I'm just sitting behind a microphone just talking, but you guys actually go out there and actually meet new people and do the work. So, as a communist, I love to give people their flowers while they're living. You know what I'm saying? So I
I'll
definitely,
accept those flowers. I'll accept those flowers, but with a contingent that I feel I lived 28 years of my life as a piece of shit. A selfish, white, rural piece of shit who didn't even know the pain of the world. I think I may have about that much time left, and I'm hoping I have just enough time to reverse it. So I'm going 4 days straight, going hard, so that I can try to do as much good as I can. Not because I think I'm virtuous, but like I'm trying to undo the 33 years of just being living off the imperialism fat of the land, doing nothing for anyone, dealing drugs. You know, it's my chance. That's what I think of it. You know, if I can do that, I could die happy for sure.
Yeah, and I think you made that up plus some more, man. Like I want you to
Yeah.
know that, keep going. Like we talked before we got on. Like sometimes, yeah, man, we look at how the algorithms, screw both of us over. But you can't quit. See, they want us to quit. They want us to go back to the imperialist capitalist system. But now, now we can't. So
Andre, you're my new buddy, bro. When either of us feel like giving up, you just gotta turn the other and be like, "Nah, dude. Like that's how we know we're doing it." And just start sharing each other's stuff and just, dude, have
yeah.
me on anytime, bro. And if you ever want
Oh
anyone from
yeah.
God on, I'll put them. I'll get you in touch with anyone you want, Ramsey, whoever, dude. I'll if I know them, I'll just throw them your way because this shit's dope. I know people are tired of going on big name podcasts, just seeing the same faces. They're like big, and it's just like it's more of like a cult of personality. No one's even listening to what he's saying. And he's like, like I like your podcast has a good enough following, but it just feels sincere. It's like I feel like a lot of this is very transactional. And I know Ramsey'd rather go on this show than a show with even 80,000 listeners. It's just this culty, like they just want to hear their own beliefs reaffirmed to them. I get it makes you feel less alone, but like it's really getting
Yeah.
kind of culty with some of these fan bases. So I think Ramsey would love to come on and talk to you, bro. Definitely.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Most definitely, man. All right, guys. So that wraps up the interview with Kevin from Right Brain TV. Be sure to go to rightbraintv.com, buy memberships, support him in any kind of way because like you guys, he really paves the pavement. So go check that out. All right, Kevin, man. I appreciate it, man. Anytime you got a new project or anything, just let me know. And I definitely allow you to come on and talk about it.
I was just before I go. Well, first off, 72 hours no sleep. I hope I did okay. I'm surprised I'm still
You
sitting.
did good, man. You
Bro,
did
I
good.
will say this: we got a music video coming soon with PNN. We produced with PNN. I think it's going to be dope, and unlike anything anyone's seen, if you picture Right Brains stuff we did like in a rap video, I think it's going to be wild. But number two, our new lineup starts Monday, and it's Mexico. And Mark spent a year doing that while I was doing Africa. He did Mexico, I did Africa, and it's going to be fucking great. If you're interested in Mexican lucha horror, revolutionary, every aspect of Mexico is going to be cooked into it. So keep your eyes peeled.
Okay. All right, Kevin, man. See you on the other side, my guy.
All right.
All
Do
right.
I, do I click leave studio, or is that just like us saying goodbye to end the show, and we do a little pleasantries at the end?
You could leave the studio. That's fine. All right, guys. So that was Kevin of Right Brain TV. Like I'm telling you guys, like he does amazing work. Go check out his site, rightbraintv.com, and wow, like a lot of their filmmaking, a lot of their movie making is life changing. So, um, um, I was going to leave, but I'm gonna do a few news stories since there's so much shit going on. Be sure to like the video. Again, it's free. It don't cost you nothing. Support, the ATP network. Subscribe to our channel. Like the video. We on Twitch, Twitter, Rumble, um, Kick. We everywhere, man. Like I'm just trying to spread, our little platform out to many platforms I can. On the bottom of your ticker, follow the ATP network on Twitter. I'm gonna start posting more content on there. At ATP Network 247. Again, GazaFunds.com. You help out Palestinians in the way you can. Share the links to their GoFundMe's or spot funds, or even donate if you can, because I understand our economic situations. Most of us is shit. So GazaFunds.com. All right, guys. So I'm finna get to a few news stories. It won't be long. Um, Here we go. All right, guys. I'm back. Obviously that was a quick back, but I'm back. Before I get to one news story, I decided to do one due to time. Go to rightbraintv.com. This is his website. You know, you can find all of his things. Right Brain Theater right here. He lets you know. Okay, he recently last week did Rome's Death to America. I think the extended cut. You know, he have things planned. You can look at certain things. You can look at his films right here. This is all his films. Um, I can't wait to watch a few of these. Rome, Death to America, Young Metal Rat. It's just a lot of good ones. Original series right here. Um, Cuba, Gaza, Palestinian struggle. The list goes on, man. Support small indie creators, man. Like, instead of me spending a fucking 15 going to movies for fucking $15, I could take that $15 a month and give it to Kevin and Right Brand TV. So go and check them out, man. They do good work. All right, guys. With that being said, um, Bakari Sellers, he's been in the news lately, and for the wrong reasons. Because there we go. Because apparently, this idiot, this fool, um, basically compared slavery to immigration. Oh my God, bro. Shout out to Savvy Sab. She was the first one to bring this shit up, but she's not the only. He's not the only one that said something similar to that. Simone Sanders. I'm starting with her ass first. I'm gonna share my screen right quick. Um, like I don't know why these black people, which I consider these people to be tokens, say this crazy benign shit like this. Um, I just don't understand. Said this herself. And, it's crazy to even think that, but uh, yeah. So yeah. Let me play this clip. Then I'm gonna get to the to the Bakari one. Here we go.
That says the U.S. is going to be separating more children from their families if they cross the border illegally. My panel is back with us to break it all down. Simone, I want to start with you when we talk about this new policy. So White House Chief of Staff John Kelly was asked by NPR earlier this month if the policy was, quote, cruel and heartless. He said, I wouldn't put it that way, going on to say the children will be taken care of, put into foster care or whatever. The big point is they elected to come into the U.S. illegally. And this is a technique that no one hopes will be used extensively or for very long. The administration defending this policy, they say it's going to help deter more undocumented immigration. Are they right, Simone? Could they have a point? Could it work as a deterrent?
I don't think it could work as a deterrent, but what it is doing, it is demonstrating that the America who we say we want to be is not, in fact, the America that we actually are. Look, Senator Kamala Harris, when the Department of Homeland Security Secretary Nielsen, was, in fact, before the Judiciary Committee a couple weeks ago, asked her about this particular policy and specifically asked about the individuals who were charged with separating these young people from their parents. How are they being trained, and were they in fact being trained? And what we've seen in transcripts from mothers and family members who have had their children ripped out of their arms at the border, it seems as though training is not taking place. And so I hope Senator Kamala Harris gets answers to her questions, but this is a cruel and unusual policy. And this is a policy that harkens back to what America did during the times of slavery, when they took children.
Man, what? Oh my God, bro. See, people like this, man, why do they even have a fucking platform? Why? Why? Sometimes you ask yourself, why? She just compared immigration to slavery. Oh, God. Um, I just don't know, man. I'll let it continue a little bit more. Good God.
And then they separated families from their mothers and fathers when folks are being sold off into slavery. So if we really want to be better, we better start walking the walk.
Scott, to be better, it seems the president wants Democrats to take the lead here, tweeting over the weekend, put pressure on the Democrats to end the horrible law that separates children from their parents once they cross the border into the U.S. Of course, it's not a law. It's a policy that was announced by the Trump administration. So how, Scott, is that the fault of Democrats here?
I'm gonna stop right there. I ain't studying with that fucking man. Don't get me started about that guy. But comparing slavery to immigration is just it. See, this is why the young people are, some of them, not all of them, some of them are smart. but some of them are confused because you got idiots like Simone Sanders and these other two kooks I'm going to pull up in a second saying that, oh, slavery, basically slavery was like an immigration, also the parents, their children, the slaves' kids was separated just like the, at the time, the migrants at the border was. Oh my God. And, I don't know how I missed out on that one. Like, this is when I used to be an average CNN watcher at the time. I think I was still kind of a shit lib, but yeah. But anyway, let me get to this tweet from Savvy Sabs herself. Shout out to Savvy. Um, she has some things to say herself. She said, let me share my screen. She said, "Why in the hell did Bakari? Well, see, what the hell did Bakari just say? Calling slavery immigration is dangerous. There's a huge difference between stealing people from their home and forcing them to do unpaid labor versus people who come here on their own and receive labor." So I mean, like, let me say this. Like, slavery is done by force. Immigration is done by choice. You choose to immigrate to another country. Yeah, and ripping babies from their arms at the border is fucked up. Like, nobody with a mind will say, would downplay that aspect of it. Like, I think that, the people that come here, first of all, the border should be open. Like, anybody should come, Um, a lot of these people on the right, they're anti-immigration, like they the Christian right. Even the Bible says that, welcome, well, I hate that word, welcome people to your land. But, people are hypocrites. These people don't even read the Bible. But I'm just saying, it's like slavery, like all kinds of shit was done to us, bro. Like, we brought here by force. Um, we, but let me play what the fuck Bakari Seller said, because this shit right here, man. When I first heard it on Sabby's channel, I literally lost my shit. Like, y'all should have seen the look on my face.
To make your vision of America work, we need more illegals who get more benefits. That's your version of America.
No, what I want from America is a place that was promised to us, Scott.
To the illegals?
Like you do. No, it was promised to us. It was promised to us, not us, me and you, black and white, brown. Scott, do you think that your family was born here? You weren't born here, Scott.
I was born in
First of all, where does your family come from? My family wasn't born here. My family was actually from Sierra Leone.
You're making a passionate argument for a country built on unfettered illegal immigration, and that is not anywhere near a politically popular position.
Our country is built on immigration, period.
What kind?
Period.
What kind?
Okay. Oh, and first of all, before we go to commercial, what kind? What kind of immigration was I brought here?
You're already in the hole. You sure you want to?
Oh my God. It's worse than I thought. Our country was built here not on slavery. It was built on immigration, period. Like, when all that happened, that was immigration, black folks getting carried on slave ships over here. Some of the people that died on the slave ship, they was thrown out into the ocean. That was immigration, black people that was sold as property, sold as like a car at a lot, that's immigration, that's not slavery. Black people that have been working tirelessly hours picking cotton and building ditches and that's not slavery, that's immigration. It's like, to me, these fucking coops on here is trying to change the meaning of fucking slavery, and I can't have that. I really can't have that. And there's other people that talked about downplay slavery too, like it wasn't a thing, like, but I'm gonna get into it in another live stream. I just don't like these people. I don't like these people, and he talking to a white man. This is one thing that's crazy about this segment too. This segment clip right here. He's actually talking to a white man like, slavery wasn't a thing. Like, he just proudly saying it to Scott Jennings. That's the same Scott Jennings that was on the clip with Simone Sanders. I mean, of course. I'm like, bro, like, are you ignorant? I mean, yeah, what he said was ignorant. I'm pretty sure Bakari Sellers is a smart guy, right? I'm pretty sure, right? He got his degrees. And these are people that say shit like this. Like, they know better. I don't know whether is he trying to get a permanent job with CNN. He's a CNN contributor. I don't know whether he's trying to get a show or trying to get on some kind of podcast that's pushed by corporate money. I don't know. I don't know, man. And the shit Simone Sanders said, I didn't even have a podcast, let alone a fucking network, so I couldn't even talk about that at the time either. But yeah, man, this shit is fucking crazy. This man said this shit with fervor too.
No, because it was slavery. That's not immigration.
Come on.
Well, okay.
Come on, what?
All right, there's a lot to be said. Hold on.
No. But you just can't say come on when somebody's like, my family was brought here in chains. The answer's not come on.
To make your vision of America work, we need more illegals who get more benefit.
Oh my God, bro. And Ron DeSantis too, fuck him. Like I don't like Ron DeSantis, but him too, a white man, that's most likely probably a white supremacist. I don't know. I can't prove that. But he said that, black folks benefited from slavery. So basically saying that, we learned how to do things because we were held in captive indentured servitude. Like, yeah. Oh shit. Like, but anyway, what the Bakari Sellers thing is, where's the outrage, man? Like, why aren't more people talking about this? When this came out a week ago, this clip, really over a week ago, I haven't heard anybody talk about it besides Sabby and maybe a few other people and me. I'm like, y'all literally let this shit go under the water like this? But I got another clip to pull up. Now, liberals at the time when this came out, oh man, that was an uproar, man, especially the black liberals. Oh my God. And you know how I feel about black liberals, man. I think they are the worst of the worst than the white ones. But yeah, sorry if this article is archived. It's an old article, so but it doesn't matter. It says slavery aren't immigrants; they were property. It said why Ben Carson's hysterical speech matters. Now this came out on March 2017. Right here's a picture of Ben Carson, but I don't know why the archive ain't saving it. I guess the different type of code at the time, but it said were enslaved African immigrants to the United States. Dr. Ben Carson, the new Secretary of HUD at the time, also said in his first speech to the agency this week, referring to the entry of European immigrants at Allen, Carson said, "That was America all about a land of dreams and opportunity." Then he added, "There were other immigrants who came here on the bottom of slave ships, worked even longer, even harder for less. But they too had a dream that one day their sons, daughters, grandsons, granddaughters, great-grandsons, and great-granddaughters might pursue prosperity and happiness in this land." Oh, God. Bro, when slavery was a thing, bro, the intent was not to let us have freedom, land of opportunity, man. You know that, right? Like, for as long as they can, they wanted black people to be indentured servants to them. Like, that was the goal. Later on, I guess, with, I guess Abraham Lincoln had a warm spot in his heart, and decided to, yeah, let's free them. But, and they worked around that with the 13th Amendment basically saying, yeah, like, yeah, we technically in slavery, but, slavery still is a thing in this country. Basically, with prison labor, right? That's slavery, right? People don't know that, but yeah. Oh my God. It says Carson's impulse to homogenize our diverse origin lumps everyone together without making important distinctions about different pathways that dedicated people's arrivals. The condition under which individuals and groups came here on their accord or brought here against their will have monumental consequences of our life chances and the evolution of our rights as citizens. Now that part is true. Damn, there you go. That part is true. I mean that's a dumb moment. Like, yeah, like we wasn't brought here to be immigrants. Like, You know, and I get it. I know a lot of people say, well, Andre, you know, some immigrants come over here basically working for little or nothing. That's true. You know, like Sabby said on her channel, like, you know, a little money slip under the table to them, you know, but they wasn't, like he, you know, even Bacardi said it towards the end. I guess he knew he fucked up. They wouldn't bought his own chains. But I continue this part. It says slaves were chattel. Slavery was a violent system of conquest and domination. Africans was kidnapped in the interior of the continent, marched to the coastline, and packed in vessels like enemy cargo. Some never left the ships alive because of inhospitable conditions on board. The Middle Passage, as it was called, was a deeply alienating journey to hell. There were one-way voyages with no chance of return. Then it says over 12 million captives were taken to markets in the new settler colonies of North and South America and the Caribbean islands to be sold to the highest bidders to toil on farms and plantations, in factories, and private homes. They dreamed about freedom and returning home to escape the harsh labor regimes they encountered on this side of the Atlantic Ocean. Enslaved people did not work for less. Their labor was stolen to enrich their masters. They passed on their legal status in perpetuity to children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and untold generations beyond. They have unknowingly embarked upon centuries of bondage, one of the longest nightmares in human history. Then it says Carson Cummings generated a firestorm of criticism, which was rightfully so, which led him to parse his original statements over the course of the day. On a radio program, he initially defended himself by saying, "You can't be involuntary immigrant." Oh, what? He adopted a generic form of the term immigrant, a person who comes to live permanently in a foreign country. So now we change the definition now. Okay, I see the drift. I see the drift. But by the evening, he struck a different tone on Facebook. The slave narrative and immigrant narrative are two entirely different experiences, he concluded. The two experiences should never be intertwined nor forgotten. But you just said the people that brought here on ships work to have land opportunity, you fucking idiot. But he changed his tone that later day. Oh my God, because people pushed back on his ass. But okay, y'all gave the same energy to Ben Carson, right? Rightfully so, right? But where's that same energy towards Bakari Sellers, even Simone Sanders at the time? Like why are you comparing, you know, immigration to slavery to immigration? It's not the same thing. Again, before I go, slavery is done by force. Like they force you to do labor. Then immigration means you're coming to another land for opportunity by choice. You know, slavery is not done by choice. Nobody wants to be a slave. Immigration, you coming there by choice, hopefully to have a better life. Jesus Christ, man. Like, these people, man, I swear to God, boy. I swear to God, man. So, all right, guys, that's the show. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Shout out to Kevin of Right Brain TV for coming on. You know, we've been planning this for like a few weeks now, but you know, shit keep coming up. You know, that's just life. But you know, he's welcome to come on anytime. And also to shameless plugs, like the video. Y'all know what the deal is with that. Follow the official ATP Network Twitter account. And also to go to GazaFunds.com, help out Palestinians you can, man. Yeah, man, like these people lost their goddamn mind on here, man. I tell you, slavery is immigration. Like, what the fucking fuck? But anyway, all right, guys. Thank you so much for watching the Good Faith Show. I'm Andre Morton signing out. And oh yeah, how I always end my live streams, fuck Benjamin Netanyahu.